Hi everyone, thank you so much for coming to the 2026 Volusia Pride Candidate Forum. We're really happy to have everyone here, and I'm excited to get started. Volusia Pride is celebrating our 10th year anniversary this year, and we're always glad to have all kinds of community organizational building kind of events like this, and we really appreciate everyone being here. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our host for this evening, Eli Wittig, the editor of The Beacon.
Here we are again. It's another election, another year. Like every election, it matters. These are the people that represent you. It's your choice and your opportunity to have your voice heard. We are live streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. There's a big button on the website, volusiapride.org, where you can submit questions online. So if you think of something as it comes up, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce candidates. They'll have 5 minutes to speak. Directly right after that, we'll do 5 minutes of questions, and then the next candidate. Remember that website? What was that website? VolusiaPride.org. Big button. Submit questions. Or they can scan a QR code if you are here in person. This is the time to have your voice heard. It's not a presidential election year, but the president doesn't set your local tax rate. The president doesn't answer your phone calls. The president doesn't fix your roads. So this is the chance to have a voice in your community. So we'll start it off with United House, States, Representative, District 6, Robert Cooper. So give yourself 5 minutes, then we'll do 5 minutes from the audience.
Look, I was saying to myself, man, I ain't been in a bar in about 10 years. And I make sure that I got my sponsor on speed dial. But I'm Rob Cooper. I'm candidate running for Florida Congressional District 6. And let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm originally from South Carolina. And at age 17, I joined the United States Marine Corps, went to Parris Island. And that's where, service really started for me. And then I did 10 years in the Marine Corps, and after that, in 2006, I was in the battle of, I was in war in Iraq. And over there, that really taught me to put people before me. And in the Marine Corps, I was a food service specialist, so yes, I was a cook. And everybody depended on me to make sure that they had a warm meal and to boost them, to keep their morale boosted. And then after that, I got a Marine Corps in 2008. I worked in multiple restaurants up in Jacksonville, North Carolina. And then I moved to Florida in 2015. I was chasing my wife now. I was chasing her. And so when I came down here, I realized after I got the Marine Corps that the real struggle happened. And, when I opened up talking about, I got to reach out to my sponsor and all that good stuff. I'm a person active in sustained recovery. And so I moved down to Florida and then, I changed the environment, but then changed the behavior. And I spent 7 months inside the jail. And really, when I was in that jail cell, I found my purpose. I found what my higher power, God, understand and put me on this earth to do. And I started a nonprofit right inside that jail cell. And I got out there in 2016, and we hit the ground running, and we started a nonprofit called 0 Hour Life Center, where we help people get into recovery from substance use. And I have 24 amazing team members that work with us, and we serve 9 counties in a whole nother state. And I went back to the area back in Jacksonville, North Carolina, where I felt that I wasn't an asset, and I opened a program up there. And so service always been something that I do. And you probably asking, why did you run for Congress? Why did you get in? Why did you want to decide to run for Congress? I'm gonna tell you why. It's because I couldn't sit on the sidelines and look at this country that I put my right hand up when I was 17 to defend and to fight for this country, to see where it's turning and what it's turned out to be. And so then I look at the generation that's behind me. I look at the generation, I got 2 boys, and I want to make sure that when we look back at this time in 2026 and they say, hey, Dad, what did you do? And I say, hey, I stepped up and I wanted to defend this Constitution again, and I want to fight like I did when I was sent to Iraq. And I didn't know why I was over there, but I knew that there was a bigger purpose. And so, a couple things that we're gonna do is day one is that we're gonna work to lower this cost of living. We have to. On Tuesday, I was working with somebody that was getting evicted, and we have, service always been what I do, and I had somebody that was getting evicted. They had nowhere to go. Landlord gave them 2 days to get out of the property. 2 days. And this is not new to me. This is what I've been doing at the nonprofit, is really, really, really helping people to just get ahead and have a chance. Because we got an economy that is not helping people. It is putting people behind. This person was not on substance use. This person was not struggling with mental health. This person was she didn't make enough. And life happened and she got behind. And so what I always do is serve. And so we got her some more time. And then I think about our seniors too. I think about the gentleman that called me and said, hey, I'm about to lose my house. How can you help me? How can you help me get over this hump? And I tried everything possible. And got him the resources and stuff like that, and it didn't work out. And this gentleman had a stroke. And then I think about our veterans too. And I go to the VA, I utilize the VA, and and I'm not going to badmouth the VA. It has got better, but we need to enhance it more. We need to make sure that our veterans are able to get their claims back in a timely manner, that we can get appointments, that we don't have to jump through hoops with community cares just to get a referral to be seen out in the community. And so I tell you all that for a reason, is this. I'm not doing this because I want to have a name up there. I'm doing it because I feel this is the right thing to do. We are in a pivotal time right now. People are being ostracized by who you love, by how you look, and people are being killed on the streets that that I don't remember. I don't recognize this. This is stuff I read in the history books, and to see this happening in 2026, it breaks my heart. Because this is not the America that let a 17-year-old guy from Lakeview, South Carolina, stand on yellow footprints at Paris Island and raise their right hand and say, I want to defend this Constitution. And then to get out and make mistakes and get a second chance, that's the America I know. And that's why I'm running for Congress, is because I want to represent people the right way. Everything that's happening right now, you look at the representative that is representing us, he has something to do with that. And so that's why I'm running for Congress. And I hope I didn't run on my 5 minutes.
No, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, good job. Here.
Thank you.
It was like, hold on. Wait. Whoa,
All right. Okay, so we'll take questions from the audience if anybody has one. You could also go to VolusiaPride.org, where there's a big red button, and ask questions, which somebody has done. For you specifically, what policies do you plan to propose that would help with the cost of living?
I'm glad you asked that question. One thing that we can do is, and I always say this as a congressman or woman, I cannot tell Walmart to lower their prices. But what we can do is we got to have some transparency. We need to make sure that corporate pays their fair due, and be truthful to the American people, and be truthful to people that's in Florida 6th District. One thing too is I know that growth is an issue in the state of Florida, and that's something that a lot of people that I hear out there. But the thing is, we need to have smart growth, and why I'm going to say that is because we need to have more housing. There is so much of demand and less supply, and we need to have more affordable housing where people can be able to attain that American dream. And I run into people that are living in hotels because it's cheaper. This is America. This is United States of America, and I bought my first home when I was 27. I bought my second one. If it wasn't for the VA loan, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So that's another thing that we have to do, is because we got to get more housing out there. And then one thing too is that we need to have fair wages. And when I mean fair wages is, yes, $15 is a nice wage, but it's for this inflation that we're in right now, it's not doing it. And so we need to bump the minimum wage up here in Florida. And then too is I think about our small businesses. I know if the minimum wage go to $25, I cannot have my I cannot survive paying my employees $25 an hour right now. But we can get our nonprofit and small businesses up to that point, and I think that's how we can affect and lower this cost of living.
We have another question that will be for all of the District 6 candidates. If nominated, how do you plan to overcome the aggressive gerrymandering of the district?
I'm glad you asked that question. I was telling my wife we were coming over here because I came down the back roads. I live in Ocala, so I travel. This district have a lot of back roads, and I was seeing this district, and I said this. I said I can't wait to David Jolly if David Jolly become our governor, or whoever become our Democratic person become our governor. I said they should just reverse what Ron DeSantis did back in 2020 and this past session with all this gerrymandering. But the thing is this, and I said the same thing, is that we have to, this is so important, this election is we have to let Democrats all the way down. We got to take back the Florida House and the Florida Senate. But thing is that we can do is, at Congress, is make sure that this SAVE Act does not pass. We got to take back the House. We have to take back the Senate up there in D.C. But then, too, is that we got to elect a Democratic governor for the state of Florida that has some sense and really work with the governor and work with the Florida legislature to, get this district back, because it is gerrymandered. It is set up for Republicans to win. And I'll be honest with you, it is set up that way. But we, the people, can say no, that is not true. And so if you know about 4 or 5 people that didn't register, they got to July 20, get them registered and get them to the polls to vote.
Great.
All right, anybody have any questions in the audience? All right, let's hear it one more time. Okay, up next we have Ronnie. Ooh, I just said it. Murchison Rivera. This is U.S. State Representative District 6. Give yourself 5 minutes. I know.
I get cold quick. You didn't see me put my jacket back on. I get really cold. I was just telling the ladies over there that I lost like 190 something pounds in the last 3 years, so I get cold real quick. My name is Ronnie Murchison Rivera. I am also running to be your next U.S. Congress member. I think I really am the best person for the job, and I don't say that lightly. I think we need a strong person with a background to stand up to this government and the tyranny that's going on in our country. Because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. They're going to give us hell to get to that point. And so let me give you guys a little bit about myself. I already been talking around the room, so I'm sorry if I sound repetitive. I was born and raised in one of the strongest democratic cities we have in this country, New York City. And I say that because look what's happening in New York City right now. When we elect somebody that's actually for the people and that actually cares about the place that they run in to represent instead of money and power, you get things done. 7 months, he did more than what any other mayor did in 8+ years. I'm a husband and I'm a father of 5 children. Yes, I have 5 kids. I am also a foster parent. In New York City, me and my wife became foster parents because we gave back to the community. That's where I met my wife. I met my wife in the church, growing up young, and we was giving out toys and everything for the community. And then as I got older, I wanted to do more, so I got into EMS. And I worked as an EMS from, sorry, I thought you needed something, I'm sorry. I worked in EMS from 13, I got my EMT card at 18, and I did that all the way until 2017 when I moved here in Florida. And even in between there, me and my wife started a nonprofit to help our community because we went through so much. We went through a couple of hurricanes, we went through a couple of mayors, they wasn't giving anything for the community. So we helped homeless services, veterans, anything that you could think of, helping people with health insurance, anything that we can think of, we did it. I also got elected to 2 school boards, the Parent Teacher Association Vice President, Treasurer, and Secretary, because I was very involved in my children's school. And I also got elected as the District Education Council, which we know in Florida as a school board. And even in between it, I still found time, because I graduated from a high school that did music and arts, and I also volunteered my time as a music teacher, because I always gave back to my community. In 2017, I moved to Florida, and I wanted to continue giving back to my community because that's all I know. So I got into law enforcement, and I was a law enforcement officer from 2017 until last October. Almost 10 years I dedicated to Florida as working in law enforcement. And you know, I tell people that we chose Florida to be our home. We chose it. One of the reasons why we chose Florida to be our home, I'm saying a joke again, Dawn, you ready for it? We were tired of snow. I mean, just shoveling snow and then jumping over that puddle and falling, it takes a toll on you, okay? So we came down and visited one day, and my wife was like, why we don't got this? So we moved down here to Florida, but we needed a better life for our children. And at the time we moved down here, the education system wasn't as bad as it is now, because we are 40th now and 50th in teachers' pay. So, you know, I moved to Lake County, got into District 6, and I'm like, wow, this is a real difference between New York and Florida. And Lake County especially. And so at the time, my congressman was Mike Walsh. And I got involved. I said, hey, listen, Mike Walsh, I need your help. My house got destroyed by this hurricane. At least he answered me. Our current representative, Randy Fine, does nothing for our community at all. I mean, on the contrary, he does the total opposite. Bashing people, the most racist person I know, calling people by names. This is a U.S. representative. And then when our community called out for help, he's nowhere to be found. In my entire life, I've told you that when people call on me, I stood up to be that person. And so I couldn't sit back no more the day he said that children in Gaza should starve and die. That took me. Because in my head, if he can say that about children in another country he don't even know, I'm a proud Democrat my entire life, me and my whole family. If he can say that about children that he don't know, what about the children he don't like? Because he has multiple times saying he don't like Democrats because we are the demon of the world. And so I got into this race because I got 3 priorities I want to take care of. Am I going one more time? Okay. I got 3 priorities. Healthcare always comes first. There's a reason behind it. Just stick with me. Then affordability, and then we're going to do education, and we got to take back our civil liberties. Reason why I say healthcare first, I can help fight for everything else. Affordability, your gas prices, your food prices. I can help get universal child care, universal education. Those are things that we're going to fight for and make sure we fight for from day one. But if you're not alive on this earth to enjoy those things, what's the point? That's why I always say healthcare comes first. Working in the South Bronx for almost a decade, I saw people literally starve and die rather than go see their doctor because they had to choose between the two. I think healthcare is a human right. I think nobody should choose between anything in healthcare. Healthcare should be like, hey, I'm sick, let me go see a doctor, call it a day. That's why my priority is pushing for a universal healthcare and a single payer system. It's going to take time to get there. I'm going to be a freshman in Congress. But the first thing we need to do is stop this one big ugly bill from fully enacted in 2027 and give some of those credits back to people. And then actually before that, we got to make sure we impeach this president because he's going to stop all our things that we're going to try to do. That's my goal. And so we got a long fight ahead of us. My track record has proven that I'm a fighter. I have proven it even during this campaign. This government already attacked me, locked me up for standing up at a protest. I'm not backing down to it because that's what they want. It's going to get way worse than it is now. If you guys do not believe that this administration, when they find out that they're going to lose this seat, whoever it may be, they're going to attack us, and attack us. And we need a strong person there with a strong backbone that won't give up, and my track record has proven that. So I hope to earn your vote coming up August 18th. And I appreciate the Abbey Bar and the Volusia Pride for helping me and inviting me here today. So I'm open to any questions. Thank you.
Any audience questions? Okay, you want to talk about gerrymandering?
Oh. So our district didn't get gerrymandered the last time they did it. They already did it twice, 2018, 2022. They couldn't do it anymore. Because if they did it more, they'll start stretching this district purple, which I believe already we're purple because people are fed up with what's been happening. What we need to do with gerrymandering on a federal level, which we can do, because these are federal elections that's getting gerrymandered, is we need to make a bill and codify it that no state can gerrymander except, it's not even called gerrymander if they do it the right way every 10 years when it's census, because states move, people move, it grows, it get less, representatives get chosen like that. So that's a given, we have to. But this mid-decade redistricting has to stop. When they feel like we're going to lose, we need something, because they're scared. If you guys don't understand, they're only doing this because they know how very unpopular this administration and this president is. Now you tie that in with Randall Fine, this seat is going to get flipped, promise you. We just need people to get out and vote. So that's one of the things we can do at the federal level, but we also could work with the state to make sure it don't happen at a local level as well.
All right, we have another question that came in from the website, which is www.VolusiaPride.org. Yeah, now you're getting it. Okay, there's a big red button there. And somebody has pressed it, and this is the question. As law enforcement, did you ever see any abuses of power that you stood up against, or do you have any other experiences where you had to end up against corrupt authority?
Oh man, I could be here all day for this. I didn't mention it because there's so much more in my life that I've done that I didn't mention. I also volunteered at food places. But one of the things I did do here in Florida as a law enforcement officer, I was a union rep for my local law enforcement agency, Mount Dora. And I stood up for the rights of the police officers and the citizens, because when they make a complaint there, normally they could go to the police department, but no, it could also go to the union rep if they felt like the police department wasn't going to really do nothing about it. And so there's many a times I stood up to this tyranny government. The reason I left Mount Dora, because I was one of their whistleblowers that started this chain process. And by law, I'm tethered to not say more, but the news is free. Mount Dora Police Department, don't see what I'm talking about. But yeah, there's many instances where I stood up to this government, had to stand up for the rights of the public and the local law enforcement officers, because somebody has to do it. And I was overwhelmingly voted in, 99% in that position over my opposition, over my opponent.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, let's hear it one more time. I do not get cold easily. Okay, this is our final candidate in District 6. I do want to say there's a lot more people overall that are registered as candidates in District 6. There's a primary, there's a general, so we really appreciate the candidates who've shown up. And so, let me introduce Eric Youngs.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for Abby for hosting this as well. So my name is Eric Yontz. Easy way to remember my name. Think Beyonce, no B, Selene. That will just think that in the polls whenever you see that. But yes, I'm a third generation Floridian. I grew up in this district. I grew up over in Ocala, and I've spent my entire life here. I absolutely love it. And spending that time here, I've watched how this district has been used, has been divided purposely, has been forgotten. And that division, that using that we've been seeing, has led us to where our current representative, Randy Fine, someone that has no connection to our district, someone that does not care what happens here locally, someone that wants to promote more division, more hate every day. I mean, there's more stuff today that he's spewing out of not even voting on anything, purposely not voting on bills so that way he could pass whatever personal agenda that he wants. That's our current representative. And I absolutely hate it. I hate the fact that we are so divided that we can't look and have actual conversations about what's going on in our district, whether you're on the left side of the spectrum or on the right side of the spectrum. That's a huge problem where we're at. You know, I look at our district right now, we have seniors and veterans that are being forced from their homes because they can't afford their trailer park rent for their lots. They're having to make life-changing decisions later in life because their trailer park rent has went double, triple in some places. We have people that are maxed out credit cards, tapping in savings if they have it, just to afford the basic necessities. We all feel that every day. You know, we have communities, like our trans community, like our immigrant community, that are being dehumanized on a regular basis. This is where our country is right now. This is where our local government is at times as well. And we have to start stepping up, and that's why I am stepping into this. I can't look back 10 years from now and ask myself, what did I do during this time? That is why I'm getting involved at this point in time in my life. I am not a career politician by any means. I've never been in politics. I've spent my life in retail. I started when I was 18, started at Target as a cart attendant. Worked my way up and started eventually to be able to manage stores. I worked for Target, Toys R Us, Dick's Sporting Goods. My most recent, I managed the Dick's Sporting Goods in Daytona for about 6 or 7 years. Every time I say that, then I have to think of 6, 7. But you know, retail's one of those jobs where I feel everyone should work at that, or in the restaurant service industry. You learn something, like you have a grounded approach, like you see day-to-day life at a different level than what a lot of people get to experience. And that's what I bring to this. My 22 years in retail has led me to this with a greater understanding of where our communities are. You know, and one of the biggest things I learned in retail is what leadership looks like. What great leadership looks like, and what bad leadership looks like. Bad leadership can destroy a community, can destroy the store, can destroy sales, profit, all the things that the corporate America cares about. This stems from leadership. And that's one thing that I see is our biggest problem right now. Go to one of our local offices. Stand up to whatever we have going on, whether it be development, data centers, flooding. Talk about those things. What happens? You get ignored. You're not listened to. It's a huge problem where we're at. And this is where I've always said we're going to need everyday people that have lived everyday lives to start getting involved in our politics, start getting involved in government, to start making changes. And that's why I'm here today, and that's why I've gotten into this race. You know, I have 3 key issues that I think are the root of all of our evil right now. One is the money in our politics. We have to get the money out of our political system. Think about it. Anything we want to do, whether it's healthcare, tax reform, early childhood education, anything, we're never going to be able to have those real conversations unless we have candidates or actually representatives that aren't backed by corporate or foreign interests. You know, gas, groceries, healthcare, insurance are all unaffordable right now because this government has forgotten who they're working for. They're working for us, but they have forgotten about that. The second priority is we got to bring money back home. We have to understand that our infrastructure is falling apart around us. It's falling apart from the weight of this overdevelopment that we're seeing on a regular basis across all of our communities. It is falling apart because our local officials have forgotten, once again, who they work for. They work for developers right now. That's a key issue that we need to bring money back home. And we're talking about eliminating property taxes in the state of Florida. So what's going to happen there to a lot of our local communities? Like Marion County is talking about $50 million in shortfall. What happens when we run out of water like we're seeing in Palm Coast? It's a huge problem. We need a representative that understands that and sees it. The third big priority is data centers. They are encroaching on our wonderful state right now, and I can't believe how fast this is happening. We have one going up in Palm Coast that lied to our city council, said they're going to be 30,000 square foot. They're now claiming to be around 100,000 square feet. We have one that potentially could go up in Putnam County, a hyperscale data center, right next to the St. Johns River. What happens when that data center goes in and starts polluting the St. Johns River? The lifeblood of Florida for the most part. These are huge concerns, and we got to start stopping this growth. You know, I stand firm on a moratorium with data centers because we need to understand the environmental impacts. We also need to understand the actual worker impacts as well. We're seeing massive job loss, but there's no plan anywhere to affect that. There's two big things that I want to make sure we have in place before we allow any more data center growth. To be honest with you, we would stop it right now because we have enough in our country to supply our current rate of consumption. So those are my three key priorities. If you really think about it, that gets down to the root of all of our problems within our country. Not all of them, but a good majority of them. And that could bring our voices back. So I appreciate your time here today. You know, I do have the question that gets asked, like, how do we win this thing? Right? It's Randy Fine. He's going to have millions and millions of dollars. This is how. We have communities that get together and start talking about things. We have people that get together and start sharing the different ideas that are going across. We have a primary like we have in this race for the first time in this district that we actually bring people together and start moving towards a common goal. This is how we're going to win this thing, and I'm so grateful that we have this opportunity here today. So thank you all for being here. My name is Eric Yance, and I'm
Would you like to speak a little bit about our good friend Jerry Mander?
I mean, with what hasn't been talked about, you know, one, yes, the gerrymandering has been going on forever. You know, you think about what happened in this latest piece, everything south of Orlando got messed with. But yet our greatest growth in the state is in the northern counties. St. Johns County, which is in our district, Flagler County has some of the highest growth rates, but yet like our district wasn't touched. So it shows where the true intention of the gerrymandering of the redistrict was. But let's get to how we work around this. It's not going to affect us. We can win this thing. It doesn't matter if they touch this district or not. If they gerrymandered it, if they moved it anyway, it didn't matter to me. Because what matters is we have to get out and start talking to people, have conversations, let them know, hey, people are starting to wake up. You voted for Randy Fine. What has he done? What has he done for the district? What has he done for you personally? Has he helped us in any way? People are starting to wake up with that, and I think that's our big key of how we fight back with this, is really starting to enlighten people on the truth of where he's showing up for us, because it hasn't been anywhere. He's passing bills that more affect a religious aspect or more hate and division, Islamophobia. Like, these are the things he's passing rather than actually affecting us here at home. And the more we talk about that, people are starting to realize it.
All right, we got a question from the website, which is www.volusiapride.org. You have 2 minutes. Have you declined money from sources that you do not support?
Yes, I have. So I will not take any corporate or foreign lobby money. I think that is, like I said earlier, the root of all evil. You know, there are good PACs out there. So I recently was endorsed by the Free Equality or Free Thought Equality organization. So that PAC did offer me some money. So there is PAC money out there that is good, and that is something that aligns with values. I think that's the key when we look at these is, you know, what values do you have, and making sure that they align with whatever organization that is out there. But, you know, something like APAC, you see AI, data center, like organizations trying to funnel money in. That's evil. Like, it's going to destroy our country. It already is, and I will not take that. That is the only way we can actually fight to get money out of our political system, is by electing candidates that are not taking any of this corporate or foreign lobby money.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's hear it one more time. Erica. Okay, that was U.S. District 6. Let's go to the state. State District 29, Donald Camphor.
Yeah, and thank you all for hosting this. This is good. My name is Don Canfor. I am, again, not a politician. My day job is a veterinarian. But the reason people ask, the first thing they ask you is, you know, why are you running for office? And I will tell you, I am not satisfied with the representation that we have. I don't know if anybody else here is, but the representation that our district, and I think a great swath of Florida, has up in Tallahassee does not represent me, does not represent my values, does not represent the things that are important to me and my neighbors. And
Okay. 1 second.
Sorry to interrupt your roll here. Can you guys hear in the back? Okay.
all right, I didn't want to overwhelm. But I am not satisfied with the level of representation. I think the representatives we have, not just my opponent, but the legislature in general, does not represent the will and the issues and the desires of the majority of the people in Florida. And I think it's time we need to make a change. We all complain about things. It's easy to complain. It's a lot harder, as some of the other candidates have said, to finally just get off your seat and do something about it. And so I decided I was not going to let our incumbent representative run unelected, unopposed rather. So, as a state representative, it's a little bit different than some of the issues that affect us on a national level. I'm kind of reminded of the old saying, you know, give me the strength to change the things I can, and the serenity to accept the things I can't, and the wisdom to know the difference. I can't get up here and promise a lot of things that you see some of the political ads saying. Politicians will get up there, and when I'm elected, I'm going to get up there and I'm going to make your life easy, and I'm going to change this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to tell them how it's got to be in Tallahassee. And the reality is that's not going to happen. As a newly elected representative, you get up there and your power is almost nothing. You don't have a power base. You're not going to get up there and change Tallahassee. But what I hope to do is be another no vote against the craziness that they're doing up there. Just if we can get enough Democrats elected and get a little bit of the power away from the Republicans, maybe we can start to undo some of the damage that's been done. We talked about education earlier. The Republican Party has had a war on public education in Florida since Jeb Bush was governor. And they have, their voucher program has gone $4 billion, that's billion with a B, over budget. The state office of the state auditor general has already pointed that out. The legislature has decided to do absolutely nothing about it. They're taking funds away from public education. It's no wonder we're 50th in the nation in teacher salaries, and somewhere's down in the lower 10% in terms of educational quality. That needs to change. One thing we can do, the money, as Eric has said, is one of the leading causes of the problems that we're all facing in American politics today. The federal government is not, unless the Democrats have some kind of a sweeping victory in the next election, not likely that they're going to do anything that's going to get the Supreme Court to overturn the Citizens United decision. But some of the states now are beginning to take initiative. And Hawaii has just recently been the first state to pass legislation to roll back corporate powers. States grant corporations their charters. The states grant corporations the powers that they have and tell them what they can do, what they can't do. If the state puts in a corporate charter that they cannot engage in political activity, they cannot contribute to ballot issues, that works. Unfortunately, the law that was passed in Hawaii probably will not stand muster with the Supreme Court. It's already got, what I've heard, too many flaws in it. Other states, I believe it's Montana or Michigan is next in track to propose legislation. California is working on it. I have decided to make it one of my priorities. If I get elected, first piece of legislation I'm going to introduce is something to limit corporate powers in the state of Florida to contribute money to ballot issues. It may not stand a chance of an ice cube in hell getting out of a committee as long as the Republicans are in charge, but at least you got to start somewhere. The Chinese like to say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step, and you got to try. So that's another one of my priorities. People ask me all the time, you know, what are you going to do when you get up there? Legislators are allowed to introduce 7 bills a year, plus 1 bill to repeal or retract some existing legislation. So I've got a long list of things I would like to propose. People come up to me all the time and ask me, you know, if you get elected, what are you going to do? Well, we're going to try. The state this year, under the Republican administration and Governor DeSantis, has greatly rolled back our ability to govern ourselves on a local level. They're making tremendous inroads against against our home rule, and they've taken away things. You've all heard about the Senate bill, the House bill that has now limited local government's ability to rezone, to oppose construction, oppose developers. People now, if you want to rezone agricultural property to residential, if local governments try to oppose that, they risk being sued for taking away property rights. So we've got an uphill battle there to fight. These are things we do. The overdevelopment is on everybody's mind. All you have to do is drive around. It's visible not only here in our district, but it's visible all over Florida, subdivision after subdivision. And the problems we're going to have with sources of water, protecting our drinking water, protecting our environment, protecting our recreational waters, how to handle stormwater and runoff. These problems are not going to go away. They're going to get worse as long as we keep doing what we're doing. These are going to take some people with political courage. I, too, have not taken any money from other than individuals and individuals in our district. My opponent, and I encourage everybody, doesn't matter what political office you're talking about or looking at, go online. If it's a local election, go on the Volusia County Supervisor of Elections website. If it's a state election, go on the State of Florida Department of Elections website. You can click on every candidate and view their financial statements. Just like a budget, their contributions determine who they're going to represent and how they're going to vote. They'll tell you one thing, but follow the money. The money tells you where their loyalty lies and who they're going to be voting for. And my opponent has taken nothing but PAC money. And if you look, everything on his thing is $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. It's pay to play. Elected officials, once they're elected, you get up there and the lobbyists come in, and for a lobbyist to gain your attention, they have to write out a $1,000 check to your PAC, and then they get an appointment to sit down and talk to you about whatever their issue is. I will not do that, and that is one political promise I can make that I will keep. I will not take money. Lobbyists want to come and see me, I will, if they have an idea to present, I will give them the time that their idea is worth. And if their idea is not of benefit to the people of Florida and the people of our district, their idea will get the time that it's worth. And I will not take money from PACs as well, or political, not political, or corporations. So that is that's my spiel. People have questions for me. I am a Democrat. I've been a Democrat most of my life, and I represent the core democratic values are part of my values. So that's it. I'm not going to keep you all night.
We do have one question, if you can answer in less than a minute. Let me also try to summarize it. The Florida law authorizes the governor to suspend county and municipal officials and under the prohibition for funding or promoting DEI initiatives. What would you do, if elected, to ensure the county and municipal elected officials are protected and able to fully serve intersecting communities?
Yeah, that is something I strongly disagree with. And other than introducing legislation to try to do that, the only thing is to vote against any initiative that comes up along those lines. As I said, I get up there, unless we have a sweeping Democratic victory, all I can do is just be another no vote and hopefully a voice of sanity against these things. But we have a strong Republican governor, and we have a strong Republican legislature, and right now they have free hand to do whatever they want to try to suffocate and stifle their political opponents. And threatening local governments is not a good thing, and I'm strongly against that. I will fight it every way that I have at my disposition.
Great, thank you very much. Give it up. Okay, I'm starting to get the sneaky suspicion that the Republican candidates declined our invitation for the candidate forum. Okay, let's move on to Florida House District 28, Joe Hanoush. Right? if you have questions, you can go to.
Red button.
All right, can y'all hear me? Yep. All right, cool. First thing I want to say is some point of personal privilege here. I'm in a lot of pain right now. I got a pinched nerve in my neck. So if anyone's ever dealt with that before, that's what I'm dealing with right now. I'm at my maximum allotment of ibuprofen right now, and it still hurts like hell. So bear with me. I'm in a lot of pain. Secondly, I don't know what the second thing was, so I'll just introduce myself. Joe Hanush. I'm running for Florida State House District 28. If you don't know where District 28 is, it's not here. It is northeast Volusia. It's actually just east of here. So if you live out in the Daytona, Ormond, Holly Hill, that kind of area there, you could vote for me. I'll be on the ballot. I don't have a primary, so I'll be on the general election ballot. Let's see, what else here? Next question I usually get is, are you a Democrat or Republican? The answer is no. What the hell does that mean? What do you mean no? You're a Democrat or Republican, right? No, I'm not. I am a libertarian. For those that have ever heard of libertarians, we believe in minimal government. Get government out of, insert whatever issue it is here. I also believe in the Constitution. I always conceal carry my Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Yes, thank you. Especially the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights is amazing, and if our government, whether it's local, state, or federal, would just adhere to the simple Bill of Rights, the freedom of speech, no matter what it is, whether you agree with it or not. You know, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, that to not have government just search and seize whatever they want. To have due process, again, no matter what it is, even if it's like ICE coming in trying to just deport anyone that looks like me or darker. It should be due process always. Cruel and unusual punishment, I believe you can take Florida as a, sorry, it hurts right there. Too much weight on that arm. So due process, or talking about due process, or yeah. So there shouldn't be like everyone should have their fair shot. You don't go to jail first and then then due process later, right? We had a president that believed that, and I don't think it works out so well. Let's see. One more disclaimer is so I am a libertarian. So I'm actually the only libertarian running for state house across the 120 district seats right now. Actually, the only libertarian that's running for state senate is actually sitting right over there as well, in the whole state of Florida, by the way. So if you elect me or Gabe, we would literally be 100% of the state legislatures of the candidates running as libertarians right now. So I believe in having representation across the political spectrum. So vote libertarian if you want to get a different perspective out there. As far as I know, some of the federal candidates were talking earlier about Randy Fine. I fucking hate Randy Fine. Excuse my language, but yeah, objectively he's the worst member of Congress there is, in my opinion. When he was a state representative, I followed him for the entire time he was state representative. He actually made a post on Facebook maybe 3 years ago that said, if you're wondering, my pronouns are you, or you are a fucking moron. He actually wrote this on Facebook. So I wrote a comment underneath that, and I said, okay, I will address you as you are a fucking moron every time I address you. And I got like 3,000 likes to my comment. I actually ratioed him, so I actually got a picture of it. Anyone wants to see that. Yeah, I don't like him, not a fan. There's actually a libertarian running in that one. Unfortunately, they didn't come here, but Andrew Parrott, send Washington the bird. What else here? Gerrymandering was talked about earlier. I hate gerrymandering. No matter Democrats or Republicans, whatever state controls their own state, whatever party does, they gerrymander in their favor. I'm a libertarian. We don't have any states majorities. So what I would like to do is something called proportional representation. And what does that mean? It means like if we have a political party system. So under that system, you would vote for the party, because that's really what we're already doing, and then they would get a percentage of that vote for that leadership. So we have 120, let's just call it 100 for easier math here. I'm doing live math. So let's just say there's 100 state house seats. Let's say the Republicans get, I'm going to be nice here, 49%. We'll get the Democrats 49% as well, and the Libertarians get 2%. So the Libertarians would get 2 representatives in the state legislature. So it's proportional representation. There's no gerrymandering. There's no red districts, no blue districts, no gold districts. It would be whatever the state is. That is the representation they get in whatever body it is, whether the U.S. House, State House, etc. What's another hot? This is Pride, so I'll talk about some of these issues here. And again, remember, I'm on my maximum limit of ibuprofen, so whatever you don't like me saying, it's the ibuprofen talking. But the bathroom issue, like what gender you use for what bathroom, right? I know this is going to be a hot topic here. Probably not, people are not going to be fans, whatever. I'll say it anyway. I don't like using the bathroom with anyone else. Not males, not females, not gay, not straight, not black, not white, not Muslim, not Jew. I don't care what you are. I want to use the bathroom by myself. Sorry if that offends anybody, but that's just my take.
DEI. DEI. The question we got from online was the state can punish local communities for DEI initiatives in the county or a municipal level. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think the government should be out of it. That's pretty much the mantra of my campaign, is the government shouldn't be saying anything. The government, like the state government, federal government, local government, I don't care what level of government, they should not be having any DEI requirements or anti-DEI requirements on anything, not personal, private business, not government. It should be free and open. Everyone should have equal opportunity by government, is what I'm saying. So every individual, like the smallest minority is an individual. Well, we could look at everyone in here, you know, the however many people we have in here, there's something different about each and every one of you from someone else in this room. All right, so we're all a minority. I'm the son of immigrants. My parents are from Iraq. Someone mentioned going to Iraq before. I was in Iraq too. I wasn't there for the same reason you were. I was there visiting family. My uncle actually got injured in the war in the early 80s, so I went there and visited my family. But yeah, I'm the son of immigrants. I'm glad that the courts did not rule that the 14th Amendment is not applicable, because then I wouldn't be able to run for office. That's insane that we have a president that believes that. His own children would actually be, I believe, would not be eligible to run for office. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's it's pretty disgusting. Because if you pay taxes, you should be able to participate in, you know, the thing. Like immigrant people like to say, oh, immigrants don't pay, you know, they're not paying for the services they're getting. Yeah, they are. I don't know if you all know this or not, but like when you pay sales tax, you know, over here, wherever, they don't check. You're like, oh, are you an immigrant? Okay, you're an immigrant. Okay, no sales tax for you. No, you're paying it anyway. So there's no like get out of taxes because you're an immigrant card. So.
We have another question.
Do you have any previous experience that would prepare you for this position?
Well, I've been up on this stage, I think 4 times now. So that's my previous experience. I've not been an elected official. I have been appointed to a board. I was on the budget advisory board for Ormond Beach for 4 cycles. You really learn. I encourage everyone in this room to do that, by the way. Get whatever issue it is that you're big on. Budget is a pretty big issue for me. Go to your local government and try to fill one of those seats. Get appointed to one of those seats, and you're going to learn a lot about that specific thing. So mine was the budget. I learned that local governments, they don't decide like, oh, what's the the millage rate we're going to do here, and that pays for whatever, that funds whatever we're going to do. No, they come up with a total dollar amount number, and then apply that millage rate to get that tax revenue, right? So when you hear the state talk about this bill, not bill, it's actually going to be on the ballot, the ballot proposal about eliminating property tax. First of all, it doesn't do that. It's not eliminating property taxes. The school tax is 100% there, and you can't defund like police and I think something else. So the most of the taxes on there are still going to be on there, no matter what. So you're still not going to own your own home, but so all that marketing that say, oh, you should be able to own your own home, you're still not going to be able to do that. What it does is push the taxes elsewhere. So if you're renting, your taxes go up because that's not a homesteaded property. So I'm voting no on that. I know it's weird for a libertarian to say that, but I'm voting no. Because it's not fair. I think we talk about affordability. I think it should be, if we care about affordability, it should be completely gone. That would reduce rents, actually. And the sales tax here, what we have in Florida is, I just went to the grocery store today, actually. I paid 0 sales tax. And not because I'm an immigrant or son of immigrants, not because of that, but it's because I bought things that are needed. I bought like some water, and I bought personal hygiene products. So those aren't taxed, and I like that model that we have, because if you're poor, low income, whatever, you're not paying taxes that you don't have to. So you're it's just a good all around thing.
Give it up.
Okay, that was the House, right? State House. We're gonna talk State Senate. It's yes. Woo! Woo! Florida State Senate. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Shouldn't you?
Yeah, right.
Thank you. I am Judy Ning, and I'm running for Florida State Senate District 8, which is most of Volusia County, and a little bit of northern Brevard. Gerrymandering, right? I am a 28-year public school teacher. I am a labor union leader, and I am a grandmother. This is a combination that Tallahassee's never seen before, and they need to see that. Thank you. I've been in Volusia County since 1997, living in Deltona the whole time, and I started my career at Mainland High School, then I went to Pine Ridge High School, then I went to Open University High School in Orange City. Then I got kicked out because I represented my teachers against a rogue principal, and he made my life miserable. So I actually tried to transfer back to Pine Ridge because I had come from there. He blocked it. So instead of living a miserable life, I tried Seminole County, and they opened their arms to me, which was wonderful. And today, I work at an alternative school. These are kids that have been adjudicated guilty by the courts, or they have been expelled. I believe that we are trying to keep these kids out of prison. We're trying to give them another start in life. They've all suffered trauma at some level. And I believe that every single child in this state deserves a solid education and an opportunity to succeed. Thank you. Tallahassee does not believe that. The laws coming out of Tallahassee are unsustainable. They're harmful, they're discriminatory, or they're just plain stupid. Donald Trump Airport, Charlie Kirk Boulevard, Gulf of America. This wastes our tax dollars, this wastes time. There's precious time up there. I've gone up to Tallahassee for the last 16 years. I have gone to the hearings, the committee hearings in the state, in the Senate, and the House. I sat down with legislators, and I hear them. And what happens is they have very little time. I literally was running with David Smith through the Capitol in February while he was explaining to me why he, as a Republican House member, could not get his bill heard in the House. Well, it's because the House doesn't like the Senate, and the Senate passed his bill. And the House doesn't like the Senate because DeSantis likes the Senate, and the House doesn't like DeSantis. It's middle school up there. We need adults. That's what we need. Corruption. You know that if you are a member of the party in charge there, you don't have to show up to vote. Nope, you can have somebody else punch the button. And we watched it. They just go down the line. I looked up at the board. It was a year ago, and I saw Chase Tremont voted yes on this bill. But Chase Tremont is in the hospital with his wife having a baby. Didn't matter. They do whatever leadership tells them to. And this is corrupt. My husband and I sat down with David Santiago years ago when he was up there. He's now our county councilman, District 5. And we sat down with him when he was a representative. And we were begging him not to say yes to a very bad bill. I don't remember what bad bill there was because there's been so many of them. And he said, I really want to help you. I really do, but I can't. Because if I vote against leadership, they won't hear any of my bills. So what he was saying effectively was, I won't get my name on my bill if I go against leadership. So what the constituents wants is not important. It's getting your name on the bill. That's corruption. That's corruption. I'm running to represent the people. That's what I'm doing. I I am running because so much happens at the state level. Okay, we got to remember that. Most everything that happens to you in your day starts at the state level. If you're in education, it's all about the state. If you are our property insurance reform that we need, our auto insurance. Do you know we have the worst auto insurance in the nation? We do. And somebody mentioned before about the schools. We're somewhere between 42 and 47 with per pupil spending, and we're 50th in teacher pay because they don't care. They're not listening. We have housing affordability. Protecting our environment and rural boundaries, super, super important. That can happen at the state level. Infrastructure dollars. Medicaid expansion, how about that? Cleaning up after the storms. Helping those folks that are flooding, keeping their houses from flooding. These are all things that are done at a state level. I'm also running because I want to protect voting rights and to restore a woman's right to choose. That happens at our state level. Very, very important. I'm running to protect civil rights and LGBTQ rights because I believe and I know that we are better when we're diverse. That anti-DEI bill is disgusting. It is going to hurt so many people. I'm looking at my own kids in my school. It's going to hurt them. A lot of them have gotten in trouble because they just don't fit in, So I am running so that I can be your voice. We need leadership in Tallahassee that shows up, punches their own button, listens and cares. We need leadership that knows what working families, retirees, veterans, young people are going through. I can be your eyes, your ears, and your voice. I'm Judy Ying, and let's send a teacher to Tallahassee.
Okay, do we have any questions? Wow, come on. Also, VolusiaPride.org. I have a question. Is this the first time that you have run for office?
This is the first time I've run for public office. I've spent many, many years in the union, and I was treasurer, I was secretary, and I was vice president, and I lost my bid for president, so I know the pain of losing. But I have always been in a position with the union of serving others and sitting on boards. I've sat on so many boards and debated and listened to people and so I understand what happens up in Tallahassee when you're trying to come to a decision, because I've done that for years now.
Thank you very much.
We got one online from our website, www.VolusiaPride.org. Thank you. All right, where has your funding come from? Have you taken any funding from developers?
No, I have not taken any funding from corporations, from developers. I agree with everything that has been said about that. But I do want to clarify, and I think Eric, you clarified it, and I was really glad you did. I have a $300 donation from a PAC. It's the Seminole Education Association that I belong to for 12 years. Okay, I have a $1,000 donation from a labor union, because these are my values. Unions are about working people. They're about everybody sitting here. They're about justice. They're about fairness. They're fighting for living wages. They're fighting for fairness. So I'm on their side, but I will not take any money for the sake of money. And if you look at my account, you'll know.
All right, give it up. Thank you very much. Okay, we're staying in the same race. Gabriel, I've been staring at the same. Wozniak.
You got it. Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Gabe Wozniak, and I am running for State Senate District 8. Can I get a hell yeah from all you Pride folks out there? Can I get a hell yeah from all the allies? Can I get a hell yeah from the Republicans?
Oof.
Well, we all know that the Republicans were the one that first pushed to free the slaves, but do you know which party was the first to fight for gay rights? Anybody? It was the Libertarians, not the Democrats. No offense to Democrats. I know you guys are doing it. You're doing it real well. But I'd just like to throw that out there. So, first off, I'd like to say that I hear that they're trying to get rid of the whole Pride Month and put it with Veterans Month. I mean, veterans have their own month, right? However, I mean, you guys got to keep your Pride Month, right? You know what I think you should do? I think that you should drop the whole rainbow and make it camouflage. That way everyone's pissed off equally. Ah. So, what I want to do for this community is I want to make it easier for a small business to own and operate a business here in Volusia County and the whole state of Florida. I want to do that by, first, decreasing the sales tax for people who own local businesses here. If you have a business with fewer than 3 locations and fewer than 50 employees, I think that you should be able to keep more of your sales tax so that money stays right here in the community rather than going straight to Wall Street, whereas you work for a McDonald's or a Steak and Shake or anything like that. Did you know that businesses that make less than $250,000 still have to pay a corporate file return? I would like to push for a micro business filing waiver. So if you make $250,000, you won't have to file that tax return at all. So basically, if you make less than $250,000, that goes away. Most people that make $250,000 or less spend more money on an accountant than they actually owe in taxes, and that is the definition of government waste. I mean, Republicans, Democrats alike. A lot of people say Democrats love taxes. That's not true. John, you're running. Do you like taxes?
Raise them, but they're needed. Absolutely needed.
We all hate taxes. Yes.
How does what you're saying help the people in this room?
How's what we're saying help the people in this room? Does anyone here own a business? 1, 2, 3. All right, so at least double digits people here own a business. That brings me to the third part, the tangible property tax. If you own equipment, furniture, or anything to help you run your business, up to $100,000, the government taxes you on it. Once you buy your equipment, the government basically rents it back to you. So I'd like to push that threshold up from $25,000 to $100,000, so the majority of small businesses don't have to pay anything in tangible property taxes. See, I'm going to go ahead and start spitting now.
Well, would you like a question from online?
In a second. In a second.
Right. Okay.
I love questions. So, who here believes that any person over the age of 18 has the right to smoke marijuana? One person. Oof. I thought you guys were a little bit more liberal than this, I'm not going to lie. I think that marijuana should, as a God-created plant, has the right to be grown and sold within Florida so that anybody can use it for whatever. You know, you guys realize the only reason that marijuana is legal is because the timber industry had a problem with hemp plants threatening the paper industry, and they found a much cheaper resource, which is hemp, rather than cutting down a bunch of trees and making room for developers. It's all connected. Now you have places like Bud Light and Miller Lite and Big Tobacco who wanna make marijuana this devil plant. It's not a devil plant. It's something that can be used to rejuvenate the Florida farming economy. We're not growing citrus anymore as much as we should, as much as we used to. So why not use this plant as a threshold to do what Colorado did and boost our economy through the way that made Volusia County great? I mean, we're killing beach driving, we're starting to put sewage and in our city's water, why not do something that actually benefits us? I don't know. I guess the developers don't want us to. All right, hit me with a question. I'm losing.
All right.
Well, it was quite brave to suggest turning the rainbow to the camo, but okay, so I don't think I can summarize this one, so I'm just going to read it here. To quote your response from the online questionnaire, the question was, how do you plan to support the LGBTQ plus community? And your answer was by making sure things stay fair and moderate as per policy. I don't tread on you, you don't tread on me. Given that we have certain policies in place that are not fair or moderate and effectively tread on our community, as well as your ability to deliver on representing everyone fairly and equitably, how are you going to make sure things stay fair and moderate when the policies themselves are not fair or moderate?
Before I answer that question, first I need to know exactly what is not fair.
I don't know. It is anonymous. Is it anonymous through our website, VolusiaPride.org.
I can tell you right now, this is not my question. As a trans man living in the state of Florida, I am not legally allowed to go into a men's bathroom. I do, but I'm not legally allowed to. I also have a male driver's license, which, hopefully none of you guys are ops, but those are the types of discriminatory laws that we have in Florida that just because they're on the books doesn't mean they're okay.
I thank you for that question. And I'm not going to lie to you either. I don't think that if you transition to another gender, you should be able to use the opposite sex bathroom. I'm sorry to say that, but that's how I feel. I fully believe in every single one of your rights, the same rights that I have. I think.
Go to the bathroom? Allow the candidates to answer the questions. Yeah.
I think you can get married to whoever you want. I don't think that the government should be involved in that at all. The problem is it's a slippery slope. Not everyone looks like you. I think of women and children and the type of people who just say, hey, I'm a man, or hey, I'm a woman, and be able to slide into whatever bathroom you want. And I think that we're pushing a little far on that, and it's ultimately up to the business. Like, if a business wants to allow a single bathroom for everybody, that's fine. I have no problem with that. So, yes. Self-independent business at a public level, that's a whole other story. City council, courthouses, that's where I think we should draw the line. No more questions?
Any more questions? All right. So let's thank the candidates for coming.
What's the question?
It's not a question. Thank you for coming. We appreciate a diversity of opinions. Okay, West Volusia Hospital Authority. Let's move on to Group B, Seat 2. David Margol.
Good evening. My name is David Markle. I am a registered nurse, and I am here to tell you all about myself. I'm running for the West Volusia Hospital Authority. So what is the West Volusia Hospital Authority? It is a legislative district, or a district, special taxing district that was created by the legislature that helps indigent populations and provides healthcare support to those in need. So it covers from Pearson down to DeBerry, over to Osteen and up the middle. So if you're in any of that area, you are in that West Volusia Hospital Authority area. I've been in healthcare for 28 years. I started out pre-hospital, caring for people during their tragic times in their homes with the local ambulance and fire department. And then I went and became an LPN, and now I currently am an RN. I've been an RN for 16 years. I work in leadership in Orlando with a local healthcare system. I've seen people come into this world with birth. I've seen people leave the world with death. And I've seen a lot of people suffer. Our healthcare has been in shambles for the past 25 years or more. And the reason that I'm running is because September, the Deltona Clinic that serves about 560 people is going to close. 560 people are going to be left without primary health care. Okay? That's a concern to me because those people are going to end up where? In the emergency departments that are already overrun and overpopulated by smaller emergencies that can be handled in these clinics. The other thing that really sparked my passion is that the decision to close the Deltona Clinic came with unjustified numbers. So they decided to close the clinic because they felt that it was underused. But the managing company in Philadelphia gave false numbers to the authority, which undercut the amount of people that used that clinic. And the night of the vote, those numbers came public. And 3 people on the board currently decided to still close without further investigation. So, what I would like to do is one, bring a healthcare voice back to that board. Out of the 5 commissioners, not one of them currently or has worked in healthcare. And they're making decisions about your healthcare. That's a concern of mine, and it should be a concern of yours as well. The next thing is transparency and accountability. If we have a company in Philadelphia running our clinics here in DeLand and in Deltona, we need to hold them accountable. If we can't bring that company to our local area to run our clinics, we need very strict accountability. And that proves why, because they undercut the numbers to close our clinic. So I want to restore accessibility and also protect the access to care that we currently have, because we don't need any more of our clinics being closed. And then the last thing I want to do is I want to bring awareness to the hospital authority. I can guarantee a large majority of you did not know what the hospital authority is or that it existed, because even our commissioners in Deltona weren't aware that we even had the clinic in Deltona. And that's a problem. We are in 2026. We have social media galore. It's following us wherever we go. And we don't even know that we have a clinic that helps people with their healthcare needs. That's a problem. The West Volusia Hospital Authority has 2 Facebook groups. And do you think anybody knows about them? If you would have 2 groups, I would hope that people would know a lot about you, that you need 2 groups because you've exceeded the amount of followers. But the truth is only about 400 people follow both of those groups combined. One has like 250 some and the other group has like 173. That's a concern of mine. So those are my priorities that I want to bring to the West Volusia Hospital Authority. Our budget for this year was $21.1 million, and I want to make sure that that money gets spent wisely. And in order to do that, we need to look at the programs that are working and see how they can work better. But we need to look at the programs that aren't working and fix them, okay? And as a leader in healthcare, that's what I spent my career doing currently, is I fix problems. I fix people's problems. I help them with social work issues. I fix my team members' problems as a nurse leader because they want a higher pay or they need time off for vacation. I also fix the hospital's problems because they want us to work more with less. And I find out how to do that. And that's what I want to do with the West Volusia Hospital Authority. Any questions?
Yes, great. I will bring the mic to you. Can I do that?
Yeah.
You can travel this far?
I think so. We'll find out.
David, who can vote for you?
That's a great question.
So, this is a nonpartisan position. And also, unlike most of the other candidates, this is a volunteer position. Everybody that is a registered voter can vote for me. Okay, I do have an opponent who's been serving on the board for on and off for about 20 years, who also made one of the deciding votes to close the Deltona Clinic, who does not have healthcare experience. But I want to make sure that if you put me on that board, that I'm going to represent you because I've lived there. I have boots at the bedside well, clogs on that side. And I want to make sure that you're represented there. So I saw some other hands for questions.
Thank you. Congratulations for jumping in out of courage. And I've spoken to you about this before. I am all for West Volusia Hospital Authority. I am not for the fact that I pay taxes to the West Volusia Hospital Authority and that money goes to other organizations instead of going to the people who need it. Are you going to be able to fix that? Or are you going to try to fix that?
Yes, I always appreciate when audience questions aren't questions.
That's a great question. So my idea is that we need to look at how those programs are run. And if they're not functioning and they're already getting tax dollars for their programs, we need to try to take that money and put it into areas that aren't getting tax money to be able to survive. So there's a lot of nonprofits in our community. And what's important is that the money that we are being taxed on, that $21.1 million, goes to the people that need it most. So double dipping, in my eyes, should not be allowed. Okay? Again, every organization is important because they serve a purpose, but we need to focus, and how I said it earlier, holding people accountable. Like, let's look at the application process. Let's see what that looks like. And I'm not sure what their current procedures are with vetting those individuals and how that looks, but I definitely want to look at that. That is something that I want to look at, see how we can improve it, and see where we can take our monies and make them stretch further to the people that need it most.
Great. Thank you very much. Let's give it up. Yeah, I've been, working at the Beacon for like 8 years. The West Volusia Hospital Authority very often does not have candidates running in it at all. It's often unopposed. In DeLand, we often have the DeLand City Commission candidates come up. All three were elected, either unopposed or the others dropped out of the race. And that's three of the people who represent just this town. So candidate engagement, voter engagement is super important. And so it's kind of nice to see. Uh-oh, who's next?
We have the one who just came.
Oh, yes. So we are going back up to the United States Representative, District 7. Was it Bale?
Yes.
Bale Dalton.
Last minute edition.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. My beer was taken away from me as I walked up here. I was like, we're in a bar. I think that's okay to have a drink. So. My name is Bale Dalton. I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives in District 7. So that's all of Seminole County, southern 2/3 of Volusia County. Currently being represented or not represented by Corey Mills. So yes, the booze can be loud. I was born and raised here in Central Florida. The Navy brought my family to Sanford, which is where I live now, decades ago. And I've been on my own Navy adventure for most of my life, 24 years now in the Navy and Navy Reserve. Thank you very much. Thank you. It truly has been my pleasure. I was a special operations support helicopter pilot, deployed doing medical evacuations out of Kuwait and Iraq, and then I went to Iraq 3 more times doing special operations assault, and then I was on the ground in Afghanistan with SEAL Team 7 doing forward air control. At the end of that active duty adventure, I transitioned in the reserves. I went to grad school and then went to serve on Senator Bill Nelson's staff when he was our senator. So he was on the Armed Services Committee, so I did all the national defense, foreign affairs work, and also led our veteran services. So making sure that our Florida veterans were getting the benefits that they earned and the care that they needed in their own transitions into civilian life. I was very happy there. Obviously working on behalf of Floridians is near and dear to my heart as one. But I was recalled to active duty. So when I was recalled, I commanded the Navy's Special Operations Support Helicopter Squadron, deployed again to the Horn of Africa, fighting the terrorist elements there, and then we were the crisis response element throughout the Pacific. When that adventure was over, there was no job to go back to because Floridians made a decision in 2018 to have Senator Scott be their new senator. So I was a program manager for an expeditionary aviation company and trying to lead our company and take care of our employees through the COVID years, which was very difficult. But that was also a great adventure. And then after that, Senator Nelson was asked to be the NASA administrator. And I was very flattered when he called and asked if I would help him lead NASA. So for 4 years, I was the Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief of Staff at NASA, helping lead over 16,000 researchers, scientists, engineers, and of course, astronauts across the whole country, showing the world what America can do, what we can accomplish every day when we are working together. And that's part of the reason why I'm in this race, because I think that we can do more and can do better when we're working together. And that's just not what's happening right now. And with our current Congressman Corey Mills, I like to say, you know, this guy can't make very good decisions on his own behalf. Why in the world would we want him making decisions on our behalf throughout this district? And you know, it's crazy that the one thing that it seems that Democrats and Republicans can agree on in Washington, D.C. is that Corey Mills has no business being there, right? Calls for expulsion. Well, I tell the folks who ask me, what do you think about should he be expelled or not? I said, we're going to expel him as the voters in November. So make sure you come out and vote in the primary in August, and make sure you come out and vote to get Mills out in November. When I'm going across this district, which is a large geographic area, as you heard me explain, it's really interesting the things that tie us together. And the things that are tying us together right now are not very good things. Families, no matter whether they identify as Republicans or Democrats or MPAs, are faced with increasing grocery prices. We just saw a stat come out, you know, 1/3 of every family in this country's monthly expense is going towards food, a basic need. The next highest expense is shelter. So if we're talking about in this country, in the United States of America today, more families are concerned day to day with whether or not they're going to eat and whether or not they are going to be protected for the elements in a house or, you know, or in shelter of any kind. We have lost our capability to look towards the future. We have lost our capability to do bold things that we need to do to make our country a more perfect union. And I don't think that's how it should be. So I talked a little bit about myself and what I think were the life experiences that will hopefully make me a good representative for you. And I talked a little bit about the reasons why we need to make a change, because our current representative is not addressing any of those things. The last thing I want to talk about, which again just irritates the heck out of me, is this acceptance in DC of this corruption and grift. You know, I was very ashamed of our country when I saw in this, you know, illegal war in Iran, which has no strategic goal, which has not been briefed to the American people or our representatives in public. I was ashamed to see people on prediction markets making bets on whether or not American service people would come home alive or not when Air Force pilots were shot down. This is not what makes us who we are. And we have an environment in Washington, D.C. now, and our politicians there that are allowing this to happen, not just allowing it to happen, actively participating it in themselves. And so I'm here to restore, hopefully, restore accountability of our elected officials at all levels to us, the people who ought to be represented. Well, I think that's probably the end of 5 minutes of bio time, so I'm happy to answer any questions that are out there. And it's great to see so many familiar faces in here as well, so I'm glad to be with you.
Any questions?
I have a question.
What is your take on Hexit? We only have one mic, so hold on 1 second.
I think, you know, everybody should order up, because this could take a while. Look, to have someone of that lack of skill, lack of knowledge, lack of situational awareness, lack of empathy,
for the soldiers, sailors, Marines, Coast Guardmen, Guardians, who did I forget, Airmen, that they are supposed to be taken care of is, it is the thing, it's almost hard for me to talk about because of how angry it makes me. And we're watching somebody denigrate service members who have put their lives on the line, who've signed the same piece of paper that I signed. No matter what makes us who we are and how we're going to, come to work as our authentic selves, to have the leader of that department managing that amount of money come from failed military service himself, and to denigrate the very people that are out there on the front lines defending us, defending our homeland from threats abroad is, it's unfathomable, the fact that someone like him, again, much like Congressman Mills, is anywhere close to making decisions on behalf of other people when you look at the fact that they can't take care of their own selves. So forgive me for being less loquacious on that, but it makes me mad as hell, as obviously I think you can see.
Okay, what is your stance on what is going on in Gaza?
Yeah, I think what we see in Gaza right now is just an absolute tragedy. It's another one thing that I think we can all agree on. I have been in combat. I have seen the horrors of war. And I can't imagine what it would be like you have no control over what's going on in that type of environment. And so, I think we need folks that are looking for serious solutions to get us lasting peace in that area, or at least some sort of ceasefire, so that we can start talking diplomatically like we have been in decades past about a two-state solution which provides the dignity and right to live for everybody that is there. And I think, unfortunately, what we've seen in this administration and in this Congress, we have been too willing to just let this happen without being the good partner and ally that we should be, and hold the folks that are our friends and allies accountable to the same standards that we have for ourselves. And I think part of that reason is we don't seem to be holding ourselves to those same standards right now, which is another reason why I'm trying to win this seat, so that we can, at least one person at a time, one seat at a time, get more responsible representation to Congress.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hear it again. Woo! All right, Volusia County Council. Woo! First up, this is not alphabetical. All right, first up on the list is Byron White.
Hi. Sit here in the front. Perfect seat. Right on the couch. Just right here.
Sorry, Mom's out of town and everybody's out of town, so let's hear it. Welcome to campaigning. Thank you. We do what we must. Thank you, everybody, for having me here. I'm Brian White. I'm running for Volusia County Council District 3. That is the entire, thank you. It's the entire southeast part of Volusia County. It does actually extend to a very small section of DeLand, and also kind of near Deltona in the Osteen Enterprise area. So it's a lot of overlap, but the largest population centers are New Smyrna Beach, Edgewater, and parts of Port Orange. So that's how big, it's the biggest district in the county. It's about 200,000 people. I am running against Danny Robbins. You may know him from such political faux pas as canceling all arts funding because Athens Theater had a drag show. I mean, this is who we're up against, right? So this is political theatrics and not good policy being driven by our county council. I'm a lifelong native of New Smyrna Beach, Volusia County. I worked for Volusia County government for 18 years. I'm a former law enforcement officer and also an EMT and an ocean rescue captain. I was a captain in the Public Protection Department, and I left in 2019 to work in my own businesses. And my main business is called Yopon Brothers. We're an agroforestry company. My family owns the oldest organic farm in the state of Florida. We talked about citrus. We used to be a citrus grove. We started production in 1900, and we stopped growing citrus in 2019 due to citrus greening disease, which has pretty much destroyed the whole industry. So I am, it's a nonpartisan race. I am a registered Democrat, and the competition doesn't know how to pigeonhole me because I'm a farmer, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a former law enforcement officer, and it's hard to paint me into a hard corner here. But the reason why I'm running is really because I have worked in conservation for a long time, and I've done that as an advocate and as a volunteer. And we have a project ongoing in the New Smyrna Beach, Port Orange area. It's called the Pioneer Interchange. And it's a $75 million interchange on I-95 that benefits one person. And that one person is Maury Hosseini, who is a billionaire developer. He is the largest campaign contributor to Ron DeSantis. And he also is a real estate developer. And he's developing a huge development called Woodhaven right where this interchange is going to spit out. So, if you're ever curious as to how your tax dollars are being utilized, I can tell you where $75 million went right off the bat. And they went to benefit one person. And I sued that person, and I sued the state of Florida, and I sued them 3 times. The last one is still going through the federal courts right now. Is it going to stop anything? Probably not. And this is kind of a foregone conclusion. But it taught me an important lesson. And that lesson was, you can be an advocate, you can be an activist, you can be a volunteer, and guess what? It's going to change. Not a whole lot. That's the God's honest truth. Because I did it for a long time, and I got tired of losing. I got tired of being ignored. I got tired of being ostracized. And that's what our state and our local government does to people who get in the way of good policy that benefits everyone. And that's why I decided to run. I don't need this job. I have my own thing going on. Definitely not doing it for the money. And I'm doing it because I want to protect the things about Volusia County that most people care about. I mean, I'll harken back to what I said about my opponent, who's the incumbent, canceling $660,000 of arts funding in a county that has more than $1 billion annual budget, predicated on a lie. I mean, it was an attack on your community. It was totally unnecessary. I mean, I don't understand why people do things like that. I'm not part of your community, but I want to represent you. I mean, there's no official figures, but I estimate between 40 and 50,000 residents of Volusia County identify as LGBTQ. Don't you deserve representation? I mean, don't you deserve people who are elected who care about not only your well-being, but the well-being of everybody who lives here? And I don't think the partisan political theater is beneficial to anyone. It's a bad joke with no punchline. And it is costing our taxpayers, our county, our state, not millions, billions of dollars for nothing. And I don't think that that is responsible governance. And that's the big reason why I stepped up and said, well, you know what, I'm going to take a shot at this. And I know how to do marketing, and I know how to make people squirm. So that's what I'm doing. And thank you. I feel like I'm doing stand-up comedy. So I started a platform called Slow the Growth Volusia. And that's because, and you may have seen some signs around, we started putting signs out about a year ago that just said Slow the Growth. It wasn't about my campaign, it was about identifying a cause that voters cared about. Because one thing I can tell you that's happened all throughout the state, and Volusia County is no exception, cities no exception, it's happened everywhere, is this phenomenon called corporate capture. Some other candidates mentioned it, right? Dark money, special interest money that pours into our political system. I'm a businessman. I understand why businesses invest money in certain causes, right? You know why they do it? Because they expect a return on their investment. That's why. A large development corporation is not giving $1,000 to a candidate in Volusia County out of generosity. That doesn't happen. Companies don't spend money like that out of generosity. They spend money because they are investing in a political outcome. And they've been getting the political outcome they've wanted for about 30, 40 years now. And what do we get? What do you get? Nothing. You know what you get to do? You get to subsidize sprawl. That's what you get to do. Your tax dollars that you work hard for and that you pay to this county and this state are subsidizing development projects that effectively destroy the quality of life for the balance of the population that live here. And that is not fair. And you know what? We're not talking about it enough. And I get labeled, I like this a lot, I like being labeled because it means that they're scared and they're insecure. I like that. Right? That breeds opportunity for us, for voters who actually care about things. I get labeled as a no growth. I'm anti-growth, I'm anti-development. Not true. I'm not anti-development. All I believe is that growth must pay for growth. All the time. Every time. If they're going to build a huge development somewhere, we shouldn't pay for any of it. We shouldn't pay for the roads. We shouldn't pay for the infrastructure. We shouldn't pay for the sewer and the water and the utilities and the provision of services. We shouldn't pay to build the schools. We shouldn't pay to build the police station, the fire station. If they want to build a 15-minute city on the suburban fringe of DeLand or Newsom or Edgewater, make them pay for it. That's all there is to it. Make them pay for it. I can tell you a story. So Deering Park is this huge development. It's horrible. It sucks. I hate it. But everybody knows that. But this massive development that's being constructed currently as we speak, it is the largest sprawl project taking place in Florida right now, and we have the dubious distinction in Volusia County of hosting that project. And it's more than 75,000 acres that stretches between State Road 44 in New Smyrna Beach all the way to State Road 46 in Brevard County. They're going to put somewhere around 30,000 homes in there. They're going to increase the number of dwelling units in the city of New Smyrna Beach by 15%. They're going to increase the number of dwelling units in Edgewater by 50%. And I like data, so here's some for you. Edgewater, Volusia County, New Smyrna Beach, all these contiguous municipalities, during Hurricane Ian, something like 30,000 homes flooded in this county. We are, depending on who you ask, between the 5th and 7th most catastrophic flooding county in the United States. I'm not proud of that. I don't think any of us should be proud of it. But I can tell you how we can stop making it worse. We can stop fill and build. We can stop sprawl that is gobbling up all of our rural land, that is eating up all of our aquifer recharge areas, that's creating thousands of acres of impervious surfaces. Now water has to go somewhere, and for so many of us it goes into our yards. And we keep voting for it, year after year after year. My opponent, I know I've talked bad about him a few times already, I'll stop after this. Maybe 52% of his war chest of more than $130,000 for this election has come from special interest money, and about 46% of it has come from outside Volusia County. Now, when you start asking yourself, if 46% of the money is coming from outside the county, who actually wants this guy to get elected? It's not you, and it's not me. It's special interests who expect an outcome. And you know what? They're used to getting it. So, if I could leave you with anything, it's we have to stop them from getting it. Now, I'm not anti-business, not anti-growth. I'm pro-Volusia County. And for too long, we have elected people who simply do not care about the posterity and the long-term well-being of our residents. You know, obviously I have a young son. I don't use him as a political prop like my opponent does. I try not to. It just happens. I had a good childhood here. It's a beautiful place to grow up. And it frightens me to the core to think about what this place might be like when he grows up. Is there going to be anything left that I cared about, or that you cared about? Are the springs still going to be clear? Is the St. John's River still going to be pristine? Are our oceans and beaches still going to be accessible? Still going to be well maintained? I don't have an answer for you. I think that it's a toss-up. But things are changing. Oops. We got good people running for office. Wendy's back here. Got a couple good people running for Volusia County Council in the cities. I think we have a real opportunity to change it. And for once, it's not about like partisan craziness. It's about fixing things and being real representatives for you. And that's all I have. Well, thank you.
All right, hopefully that answered all your questions because there's time for questions. However, it did remind me that the candidates have filled out a candidate questionnaire, which addresses some other questions that are also here. So if you have any, feel free to talk to them. So the candidate questionnaire is on our website, presumably. Yeah, good, it is. On the website, which is volusiapride.org, which has a big red button where you can ask questions of the candidates. And right now we are Volusia County Council, and our next candidate is Wendy Anderson. 5 minutes to introduce yourself, 5 minutes for questions.
Awesome, that's great. So hey, I'm Wendy Anderson. I'm running for Volusia County Council District 1. District 1 is most of the west side, from the northern half of DeBary all the way up through Orange City, DeLand, Costa Lake Howland, De Leon Springs, Pearson, Seville, Astor, Barberville, basically the whole west side except not Deltona. They get their own person. I'm a DeLand resident. I've lived here for 12 years. I've been visiting here for 26 years because my parents moved here 26 years ago, and I had to come visit the parents. But I fell in love with West Volusia. This is such a beautiful part of the state, of the country, and when I had the chance to move here, I jumped at it and I've just loved living here. My day job, the thing that pays the bills, is I am a professor of environmental science at Stetson University. I've had a lot of administrative experience there, and through that role and even in my previous life before I moved to Florida, I have always used my role as a faculty member to reach into the community and bring my expertise as an environmental scientist and a person who knows a lot about water and conservation and stuff like that, and to bring that expertise to various civic boards, not-for-profit organizations, and and to try to influence how local government actually operates to protect those things. So I have a lot of experience working kind of adjacent to and within our local government. And much like Brian just said, in fact, I just want to say everything Brian just said, I agree with that. Like, yeah, what he said. So anyway, so I've had so much experience trying to advise and advocate. I was even an expert witness on the Pioneer Trail Exchange case that Brian led. And at the end of the day, they don't listen. They don't listen. So it's just like Brian, it's like, hey, look, just put me up there and give me one of those 7 votes so we can actually get a culture change happening on the Volusia County Council. So anyway, I'm running for that reason, but I have several really important things to share with you about things I'd like to get done. First of all, I'm not afraid to be here. I don't know why the other 2 candidates in this race are not here. I have no fear. I am a no-party affiliation candidate for a nonpartisan race. I will hang out with Democrats. I will hang out with Republicans. I will hang out with any group of people who is ready to have a conversation about the things that are important to them. And I am really disappointed to see that we have so many candidates who opted out of spending an evening with you all. This is an important conversation to be having tonight. But I'm here because I want to hear your voice. I can't wait for the questions. Some of the things I care about are, of course, growth and development and flooding. Those things are on everybody's mind when we're out talking to people all across the county. Those are the 2 issues that come up most commonly. And everybody gets that sort of visceral response when they see a beautiful area that's just clear cut, and next thing you know, you've got all the cookie cutter houses coming up, and some people actually live in those. I live in those right now, actually, unfortunately. Sorry, but anyway, so why can't we have better development? I wish we could stop the growth, but we don't. We don't, and we can't. And how can we actually elevate the quality of the things that are coming in? I would like to see more infill, more walkable communities in dense urban areas that that actually build community. And there's the Walkable Volusia organization that is just doing incredible work right now to try to bring those values to different cities across the county. I want to see that happen. I want to see building up, not out. I want to see mixed use development where we have commercial stuff on the ground level and then residential up above. So I don't want to stop development. I just want it to make more sense and be more community focused. So anyway, I want to make Volusia first. You'll see my signs out there. I've got blue signs and red signs. I'm trying to reach everybody, serve everybody. The red signs say make Volusia first on the back. And that's because we want to be first in conservation. One of my opponents said, oh, do we really have to be first in conservation? Yes, we do, absolutely. Why wouldn't we want to be first in conservation? Conservation is how we protect wildlife. Conservation is how we protect our quality of life. Conservation is how we ensure that we have a water supply for today and tomorrow and our grandchildren down the road. So yes, we want to be first in conservation. We want to be first in quality of life. We want to be first in good jobs. We want to make sure that our local businesses have everything they need to survive and thrive and don't get hung up in all of the bureaucratic stuff that they might have to do to get a permit or to fix a roof or to add a bathroom to their business. We want to make sure the local government is working for them. We want to make sure they have everything they need, that it seems like the developers just get, willy-nilly. So anyway, make Volusia first in good jobs. Everybody needs a good job. Part of the affordability crisis is not just about, houses cost too much or food costs too much or gas costs too much. It's that we don't make enough money. And so how can we actually have better jobs with better employers that are able to pay those living wages? So, who we attract into this county, new employers coming in, we want to make sure that they are committing to hiring our residents first before they move a whole bunch of people in from somewhere else in the country. Okay, so make Volusia first. Keep farmers farming. You'll see my blue signs out there, the turquoise signs. They say keep farmers farming on the back. That's partly because we love our farmers. Farmers are doing cool things. They're growing our food for us. They are growing our wood products for us. They are growing ferns. If you love cut flowers and all the little sprigs of fern in there, we're the world headquarters for those ferns. So anyway, we want to keep our farmers farming because we love our farmers. But also when we keep our farmers farming and we support the things they do through succession planning and agricultural easements and things like that the county can actually support, we help them have options other than selling out to developers. If we want to stop sprawl, we have to help the people who are selling the land to developers to have better options. That's what those signs mean, keep farmers farming. And then of course the grow our footprint, grow our economy without growing our footprint. So growing our economy, of course, yes, we already talked about this, without having that sprawl. So you'll see those kinds of platform themes on a lot of my website, Facebook posts, things like that. That's what I'm about. I also want to address, and I did it in my online response as well, my survey response, I want to address that horrible thing that happened last year when Brian's opponent, who is the incumbent in the District 3 seat, basically yanked funding from 33 or 34 arts and culture organizations in this county. And it was all because they were moral policing to arts organizations that simply rented out their facilities to you all or to other events and basically used that as punishment against all of the arts organizations. That was wrong, wrong, wrong. It was discriminatory, and it took months of people standing up and advocating for those organizations before they finally reinstated the funding just for this year, but with an assurance that there will be no funding going forward. I will do everything I possibly can, just one person out of 7, I will do everything I possibly can to get that funding reinstated ASAP. Even if we have to reach into some pools of funding, to get it reinstated halfway through the budget year in January, we'll do what we have to do and we will get it back into the budget going forward. one of the things we know, I want to talk about return on investment. Brian brought this theme up. When I talk about return on investment, I'm always thinking about, like, how do we know where our tax dollars are going? And are we really getting the biggest bang for the buck for it? And so many of our government services, we never ask that question. We totally take it for granted. But other services, we do have to ask and answer that question. So let's talk about Sunrail, just as an example. I was talking to somebody today about Sunrail. Over here in West Volusia, we think about it because it's here in our community, but it's kind of inaccessible, kind of out there, 5 miles west of town. How do we make Sunrail work for us? We spent millions and millions and millions of dollars to build those tracks, to build that station, to make that route happen. How do we get Sunrail working for us? We need better schedules. We need it to run later. We need to be able to go to Orlando on a Friday night and do what we're doing and still make it home on the train. We need it to run on weekends. And I've heard so many people say, it just doesn't pencil out. There's no return on investment. We cannot keep putting good money after bad. And I say, look, we've got a pretty darn good facility out there. We've got a really good train. We need to make sure we're making the most of it. So let's keep making it work for us and see what we need to do to get that schedule expanded. So when somebody says to me it doesn't pencil out, I say, does the jail pay for itself? I mean, that's another county service, right? That we all, in some way or another, benefit from, I guess. Does it pencil out? No, it's just a thing that has to be done. So, not a tax and spend liberal. I mean, I can't wait to get into county government and find all of the waste that we can peel out of there. But I think that public transportation is the thing that we absolutely need. Quick thing about transportation, one last thought. Eli's giving me the side eye here. So there was just a little notice that came out today that JetBlue is leaving the Daytona airport. The county government has given them millions of dollars to entice them to come, not once, but twice. And they have left, not just once, but twice. It's one of those, like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me once, fool me twice, shame on me. So the county council government just keeps throwing good money after bad to have an airline here that is not truly committed to serving our county. So I would say stop at the corporate giveaways and let's start funding the things that actually serve our people. So on that note, are you giving me the eye just to shut up now? Okay, all right. I'm Wendy Anderson. I'm running for Volusia County Council, District 1. Yes.
Remember the audience question part. Okay, let's see if we can try to answer these in a minute. Okay, I'm going to combine this. All right. We talk a lot about new development, but how do we take care of existing infrastructure? Roads are safe, sidewalks are usable, and you addressed a little bit ideas related to public transportation to make it more accessible to those without vehicles. So if you can combine that into one answer that lasts for 1 minute, that would be perfect.
Okay, let's start with Brian's remark about making growth pay for itself. The bigger our communities get, the more we need that transportation infrastructure and a diverse infrastructure at that, walkable, bikeable, public transit. And so developers shouldn't just be paying for expanded roads. They should be paying for the bike trails. They should be paying for, a portion of the Sunrail services. They should be paying in their impact fees and their stormwater fees. They should be paying for those things. And if that means that those costs get passed along to the buyers of those homes, that kind of gives me a little bit of heartburn because, that does make those houses cost more. But if you're moving into this community, you need to be prepared to pay for the services that this community is providing. So anyway, I think that all those things need to happen. I'm a huge supporter of our bike trail system in the state of Florida and in Volusia County. So anyway, I would definitely keep the $1.5 million set aside in the ECHO grants for maintaining and expanding our bike trails.
Yeah, you did it.
What else? Anything else? Okay, you're kicking me out? Yeah.
Clearly, there's a lot to talk about with the county council, and luckily we have two of our candidates here to continue the conversation with them. But we've gone from the state to, we went national, state, county, and we're going to stay with the county with a candidate for school board, Jacqueline Carroll. Yeah. Oh. So it's 5 minutes to talk about your platform, and then we'll open up for audience questions.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me tonight. My name is Jacqueline Carell. I'm running for Volusia County School Board District 1. What? Oh. So I am running because we need change in Volusia, desperately. I'm a mom of 4. I'm a very involved community volunteer and advocate. I sit on a lot of, and I have in the past sat on a lot of community boards and nonprofit boards. Actually, to Wendy's point, I was the Fall Festival president the last 2 years when we were fighting for that funding. So we were an organization that partnered with the Athens and then many other groups to try to get that, advocate and get that funding back. We're still going to work to do so and keep that going. Some of the things that I'd like to do in Volusia County, I don't know how aware you all are of the power structure right now on the board level, but we have an administration right now with the superintendent that is very overpowering and very top heavy. So right now I don't believe that the board is doing its job. It is an oversight board. It is supposed to be overseeing the operations, the policy implementation, all the things, and right now the power structure is flipped. So I'd like to see the board get back to actually doing the work that they were elected to do and actually representing the constituents that put them in those positions, all the constituents. Do their due diligence. A lot of things now are just, they take the recommendations of staff blindly, they don't look into it, they don't try to do their research, they don't ask questions, they just go along with it. I will not be doing that. Another thing that I'd like to do is get back to classical education standards, foundations in our curriculum. So right now, literacy is a huge problem all over, but especially in Volusia County. So we are graduating seniors out of our school system at less than a 50% proficiency reading rate. So less than half of our graduating seniors can read at a 3rd grade level. That's egregious. So to do, back to bringing those classical foundations back in, one of the things I really want to do is prioritize and bring back phonics and early literacy programs. Those are proven things that are shown to work and help kids become proficient, and that ties into bringing spelling back. And I'm really excited to tell you that the state is actually implementing this year, starting in the fall, they're bringing back cursive writing, which is really important because that goes into fine motor skills, cognitive development. It helps with reading and literacy and spelling, and it also, you know, ties you back to you're able to know what your rights are, which is really important. You can read our historical documents for yourself and know where your rights are. So that's one thing. Another thing is teacher support. So we have lost not only a lot of students out of the Volusia County School Board, we're slated to lose about 1,500 this year out of the system. It's usually between 900 and 1,500 students. So not only are we losing enrollment, but we are losing teachers. Not only are they quitting from Volusia County, but they're leaving the profession as a whole, which is really, really sad. So I want to restore autonomy to the classroom again, back to the teachers, where they can lesson plan, they can use their skills, and they can actually teach the way that they see fit. They can do fun hands-on learning again, rather than this massive teaching to the test, push that has been going on in Florida for so long. And for that change to happen, we need to have people on the board like myself who are willing to advocate in Tallahassee for that. A lot of the changes that need to happen locally, you need people here representing the voice of the local people up in Tallahassee and really working hard to make sure that our needs are being met. So I'm going to be a person that it goes up there constantly. I already do that with some of my work, like the last couple of years I've run the school government program with DeLand High and University High. So I take the kids from the school government program, we go around, they learn all about their local civic duties and about their local government and meet all the leaders. But then at the end of the year, I take them to Tallahassee for 3 days and they meet all the representatives up there. They watch live sessions, they get to participate in mock sessions. And it's amazing for me because you see the spark come in these kids alive, the activism come alive in these kids, and they're like, oh wow, this is where it's happening, this is where I can make change. They learn how to advocate for themselves and things that are important to them. So through that work with that program, I have, some recognition with our current sitting representatives to where, that way I can say, hey, these are the things that we want to prioritize in Volusia County, and I really think that we can get it done. I'm not just going to go up there for a week or two out of the year in glad hand and do photo ops, but consistently throughout the years, in weeks, months, whatever it may take, to make real change. Yeah. So that's about it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. These are all the same question. The state of Florida banned a large portion of books. What is your platform on books which have been removed and bringing them back?
Absolutely. So I will just put it out there. I do not support banning books at all. It's actually one of my huge pet peeves. Access, transparency, access to information, access to education. I'm big on that. One thing that I would like to see happening, because now Florida law has changed, but what we can do and what I think is a better solution rather than pulling books out is we have these review committees that have already been put in place by the state government. So what I feel like what they need to do is as they're going through and they're reviewing these books, what we should be putting a like advisory or an age appropriateness marker on it, like and it's similar like we do to movies. It's rated G, PG, PG-13, etc. And parents should have the right to say, hey, my children, they need to do what's best for their family. So if one family says, hey, I only want my kids to be able to access up to PG rated books, then that should be in the system. That should be what they're allowed to do. If another family says, hey, I want my kid to have completely unfettered access to everything, that's what they should be able to do as well. I'm big on parental rights and involvement, and the parents, whatever they're doing at home, whatever their worldview is, we should respect that. And so that's my take on it.
What are your thoughts and feelings about AI use in school?
I think we need to get a hold of this and really regulate it. AI can be a good tool, but it goes back to the classical foundations. Kids need to be able to have those skills of reading and writing and communicating for themselves, of being able to take speech class and have civil disagreement and be able to verbalize their views and their worldview and things like that. So I don't like that AI seems to be creeping in and taking over that. We need to get that out of the classrooms, especially on the lower levels. I have been touring locally with some of the principals, and specifically in our elementary schools, towards the end of last year and a little bit over the summer. And I was happy to find out that those kids only get about 40 minutes a day access to it, but I would like to see that to be even less, in elementary school. Until we get these kids to actual proficiency, we should not be bringing in AI and other tools like that don't give them those skills and they become reliant upon it. It's addictive, and I don't support it.
Where do your children go to school and why?
So my oldest, who's now 19, he just graduated last year from Taylor High in Pearson. Yes. And but then I also have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old, and currently they are both homeschooled. And my reasons for that are my 10-year-old is autistic, but he's extremely gifted, extremely smart, but there weren't programs and things that were meeting his needs, the other needs that he had. So a lot of parents are actually pulling their kids out of Volusia County schools for similar reasons, because IEPs aren't being followed, they don't have the support staff that's needed. So all of that really needs to change, and I'll get back to funding on that too in a second. And then my 13-year-old, she was dealing with absolutely horrific bullying. So it's one of the questions that was on the questionnaire online that I answered, I touched on that a little bit, because it's, I really have a heart for these kids and what they're dealing with. And I don't care who you are or what your walk of life is, you should not be scared and sad to go to school. And my daughter went from being vibrant and happy and loving life and loving school and making friends to, and this happened when she was about 9 or 10 years old. That was like a very sweet spot. It was heartbreaking for me as her mom, but she would wake up in the morning and just cry and cry and cry and not want to go to school. You had 9-year-old girls telling her she was fat and ugly and should kill herself, and just outrageous things that these kids having access to the internet and all of this at such young ages, they're bringing that into the classroom, and it's really, really sad. So when I speak to parents who have pulled their kids out of Volusia County schools, a lot of them cite those two issues: IEPs and resources not being followed or not being there, and then bullying. So I want to change that. And a lot of that goes back to not just policy, because there's policies in place, but they're not implementing the policies. That's the problem. They're on this big PR campaign to try to act like everything's perfect in the district, so they don't allow reporting, they don't allow any incidences, they don't want to be on the books because it makes them look bad. So I want to change that. And another policy that I want to change is when it comes to bullying, right now when it gets to the point where it's so bad that they can't ignore it anymore, they move the victim out of the school, not the perpetrator. That's wrong. It should be the other way around.
Great, thank you very much. Let's give it up for thank every candidate who shows up. There are more races in the Volusia County School Board besides that district, but you know, whatever. You can go to their websites, I guess. Daytona. We'll go to Daytona City Commission. Aaron Harrison.
Hello, hello. My name is Aaron Harrison. I'm running for Daytona Beach City Commission for Zone 5. If you don't know about Zone 5, that's the Derbyshire area. Lovely place, lovely little neighborhood. Oh, yes.
There you go.
Just saying again, my name is Aaron Harrison. I'm running for Daytona Beach City Commission for Zone 5. If you're aware of Derbyshire's area, that's Zone 5, Derbyshire, over down, and then west, over towards the Tanger outlets, all those new developments that we have over there. So, I've been a longtime resident of Volusia County. I grew up here in Holly Hill and around the Port Orange area, as well as Daytona. I got my first apartment living in Carolina Club over back in 2014. It was like right as soon as I turned 18, I immediately wanted to live on my own as an apartment. But it did not last long because it's incredibly hard to hold on to an apartment as a single person. It's very expensive. In fact, I think 30% of people who say they are homeless say the biggest reason that they are homeless is because of high rent prices. And that was a big reason I was going homeless for a little bit. So I ended up leaving for the Army for 4 years. I was an Army special. I ended up leaving the Army as an Army specialist for a 25 Sierra SATCOM operator. If you don't know what that is, in layman's terms, I shot space lasers. But in reality, it's really just IT. I just would take a satellite terminal, place it around in the middle of a desert, and then shoot it up to the big satellite up in the sky, and I would give all the soldiers access to the internet and Facebook so they could talk to their loved ones back home. It was a pretty cool job. I ended up leaving, coming back, and it's just as bad, if not worse. Rent prices have only soared, and even though I was able to still manage to make it to where I am today, I still ended up going homeless for a little bit. It was difficult. It's only harder. I saw what Daytona can do to those who end up having to struggle, and it's a hard place to get out of. But after a lot of fighting with the VA, I managed to get my disability benefits. I managed to secure myself a college degree. Like, that's insanity. And not only that, I managed to, with the VA home loan, I managed to even get myself my own home. I managed to buy a home. I'm living very happily with my partner in Derbyshire, over in Berkshire. And I very much respect and care about that. That's something I didn't even expect to do in my life. A lot of people in my generation, and especially the younger generation before me, can't afford that. And I don't want that. Now, I'm fighting for 3 specific things. I'm fighting for accountability and transparency. I think a lot of people don't know what our government does. My government's currently is currently under a lot of pressure for lack of transparency in their budget. And I think a lot of it deals with people just don't know what's going on. People aren't aware. People don't care. I mean, what does the government do to me? I don't know. I grew up with a lot of people who didn't know. So I'd like to be able to create more transparency and let people be more engaged, especially younger people. I'm 30, but a lot of younger people don't really care about what's happening in their government because, well, what are they going to do for me? They're not going to get me a house. I think they should. I think that's part of the point. As a government, you should be helping the citizens around you. That is your job. You're supposed to represent those around you and make sure that they live. Not big businesses, no. Second thing, I really care about cost of living. As a person who went homeless, that was the reason. I ended up having problems with cost of living. It was really high rent prices, really high food costs. We as a city, as a state, as a country, can lower these things, and we need to. As a proper. Third thing I really care about, stopping the overdevelopment, suburban sprawl. We focus on, it takes so many people 20 minutes just to drive out to go to their job, to go to their workplace. It should be within walking distance. I should be able to walk to be able to go to a store to get myself a bottle of water. That should be something I should be able to do. It should not take so much time to walk. And not only that, I should be able to sit down on my way there, frankly. I should have a sidewalk, I should be comfortable. We have a lot of non-walkability in Daytona Beach. We need more sidewalks. We need more people who want to go outside. I grew up with a lot of people who were younger than me, who don't want to go outside. Because why? Why would you want to go outside? It's really hot. You don't have any shade, you don't have any place to sit. Matter of fact, when I was a kid, I grew up in Holly Hill, I said, and I had my favorite park. I went there. I am trans non-binary, and I would go to a park all the time. And that park is now gone. That park was turned down. It is now a pickleball stadium. I don't have many of those places anymore. I don't have, many young people don't really have places to go out and enjoy their community. Now I know that this is Pride, and we care about LGBTQ rights. I myself am trans non-binary, and I understand what it's like growing up in the LGBTQ community and how difficult it is and how very vitriolic it can get. That's not civil. That's not civic. I don't believe in that. I don't believe that. I believe we should be fighting off against that. You want as many people to want to live in your area as possible and love each other as much as possible. We shouldn't fight that. We shouldn't be attracting this kind of vitriolic behavior. So I want to create a welcoming atmosphere for Daytona. I want to create that kind of voice. Thank you so much.
Okay, do we have any audience questions? Here we go.
First, I just want to say I applaud you for sharing your struggles. That's near to my heart. So as running for this office, how are you going to address the unhoused population, and what will you do to try to help that population?
It's a great question. Thank you. The unhoused there's a lot of lack of sympathy for the unhoused out there. I was at the city commission meeting for Daytona Beach, and I heard somebody complain. Oh yes, sorry.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it?
Hey, one question at a time.
Exactly. Well, there are a lot of empty buildings in Daytona. I don't know if you look around. There are so many empty buildings with nothing there, with nobody doing anything with them. Why? We have a bunch of empty homes. Lowering rent, I just said, rent prices being high is a high point of homelessness. We need to hold our landlords accountable. We need to make sure that they are providing good housing for those and making sure that they can live. And so I intend to work with First Step Shelter. All these shelters that we have, we need to be working with these shelters to make sure that they can house individuals. For an example, making sure the vote train can get there on time, because it is all the way out. DeLand and Daytona want to work together and have this thing, and have one shelter out in the middle of nowhere right next to the prison. That's a little weird. I don't want that. I want us to treat our homeless with actual respect and civility. That's a very important part.
All right, thank you very much. John Navarro. We're still in the Daytona City Commission, remember? And if you have questions, you can go to.
Okay, thank you. I'm John Navarra, and I'm running for the Daytona Beach City Commission. And first, I have a little history with some other candidates here. Judy Nying and her husband Sean, who's with us here tonight. We three of us all taught at Pine Ridge High School, where I currently teach, 20 years ago. So all three of us were teaching there. And Joe Hanoush, if he's still here, he was one of my opponents when I ran for the Florida House of Representatives last race. Okay, so he was one opponent with Mayor Partington of Ormond Beach. And the reason that I wanted to run for office was way back when I was 16, I first moved here, and 46 years ago. And in Daytona Beach, I had noticed very, very quickly how unequal the incomes were, how unequal the neighborhoods were. And we have a neighborhood Midtown, and Aaron, I believe, lives in Midtown, and that area has been so neglected by the state and the city. And my father was a city official, the risk manager of Daytona Beach, and he was keeping the city safe, but I wanted to take it one step further and get economic assistance to our neighborhood. And so I decided to run for office in the future when I was 18 years old. I double majored in journalism and political science at the University of Alabama. I went there, studied, came back, and then eventually, after having 2 children, getting married earlier, I worked with the campaign of Nancy Soderberg in 2018. She ran for Congress. She was pretty super. She had the job for 2 years of briefing President Clinton in the Oval Office on national security affairs every morning. And she was also a special ambassador, one of the 3 ambassadors for the U.S. to the United Nations. So I worked in her campaign, not in a paid form, but as a volunteer to learn better how to be a candidate and how to run a good campaign. And then in 2016, a gentleman won the Florida House District for DeLand and Daytona Beach under the 1965 Civil Rights Act. It was an African-American seat where the African-American population could choose a candidate of their choice. It was a special carved-out district, and he won that seat. And I thought maybe he won that seat because of his name. Anybody remember who he was? Yeah. Patrick Henry. How could you lose with a name like Patrick Henry in the United States? So he won his position, and then he ran for re-election, and the district turned a little more purple, and he had lost by 87 votes. He ran for a 3rd time, and he had lost the position by 7% in 2020. And then 6 months went by, 2021, June of 2021 came around, and he wasn't running for a 3rd time, and no Democrat was running for the seat. So I'd always wanted to run. I prepared for this all my life, and I thought, this is the election I want to run for. And I was favored by 6%. It was a D+6 district. And now Senator Leake, he's a U.S. Senator, he was a representative for Port Orange and Ormond Beach, and under the rules of the Florida legislature and the U.S., he was able to draw the maps of the districts in Florida. So he drew the map and he removed DeLand, this neighborhood, from Daytona Beach and put Daytona Beach and Ormond together, and he won the election by 20%. I didn't want to drop out because I don't believe in dropping out. And then I thought maybe I'd have a chance to win a 2nd time running. And I ran again in 2022, the last election, did the best I could. My name was out there, my policies were out there, and I gave it a shot. And the main things, like I said, I wanted to run on was getting economic assistance to especially zip code 32114, and I believe that's where Aaron lives, zip code 32114. And it's the 20th poorest in the state of Florida. And it has a lot of needs. I don't know if you know, but in Daytona Beach, half the women in Daytona Beach have no access to an obstetrician, even if they have insurance. Half don't. We have this nonprofit, which I very much appreciate, called Baby Steps, that takes in like 100 patients a day, 160 sometimes, and they give assistance for free to women who are pregnant to be able to have positive pregnancies. And the mortality rate of children in zip code 32114 is 50% higher than the other zip codes, like the one I live in 32119, than the other ones in Daytona Beach. So hearing about those statistics, sometimes people ask me, John, why do you want to run for office? Does that not make you want to run statistics like that and learning that about your community? So I've worked for 40 years, since 1983, with ideas on how to fight poverty, how to raise incomes. At Pine Ridge High School in Deltona, we've made great strides with vocational training. Our students learn welding and HVAC and nursing and these different, get these tech certifications, and that has, gotten them really good incomes. And we could do stuff like that in Daytona Beach. Before I was running, right before, I'm the secretary of the Volusia Flagler AFL-CIO, and I talked 9 different organizations that train people for high trade, high paid jobs to come to Midtown and speak about, for free, speak about their job opportunities, their training opportunities. And I couldn't get a venue. And the next week, I decided that I would run for the Florida House of Representatives to try to represent my community finally as an elected official. I do want to address things also, not only economic opportunity and the medical situation. For the medical situation too, so many of our residents have Medicaid, but it's so hard to pay a doctor because the amount the doctor makes is so little in the state of Florida. And not only that, but a lot of the services have been privatized in a way, and that's a whole nother conversation. And so I think that we should have health fairs in Daytona Beach where different health officials can come and speak in many communities, especially ones that need the help the most, and they could tell residents about what options are out there. The city of Daytona Beach cannot afford to offer insurance, of course, to citizens, but the people can be informed, and that's the job of a city commissioner. That would be my job, to be able to get the word out there on how they could live their lives better. I do want to address homeless too, and I do know a gentleman, Tom Keene, who was a former Florida representative, and he is an Orlando County Commissioner right now, or City Commissioner, and he is working on the homeless situation. And I'm paying very close attention to what they're doing in Orlando and what they're doing in New Smyrna Beach and some other communities, making strides on helping the unhoused, the homeless, the drug addicted, and doing it in a way that's humane and hopefully very effective. So they have a roundtable discussion in Orlando, and they bring experts and they bring options on what to do. Because our city commission, Aaron probably sees this, that they're kind of putting a Band-Aid on the problem, and the best they've come up with for people who don't have a place to live is to put uncomfortable barriers on the benches so people can't lay down, and that's the best they can do. We can do better. We can do much better. And those are one of the many, many reasons over 46 years that I want to run for city commission. When I was thinking of running for city commission and the Florida House of Representatives twice, I thought and thought and thought, is there a reason I shouldn't run? And I can't think of a single one to this day. So my heart's in it. The fight in the belly, that's how a candidate really feels. So you really feel this is the right thing to do. And this is the most right thing to do that I've ever done in my entire life. And I'm really proud of being able to have the chance to serve the city of Daytona Beach. Thank you.
Great. Do you have any questions? No? Good. Okay. Let's give it up again. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Deltona.
Thank you for having me.
Woo, Deltona! All right. The Deltona City Commission, there's several different seats up for grabs, and the mayor. Tonight we have the first on Christian O'Brien. Tell us what position you're running for, etc. 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Thank you, 5 minutes. Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Christian O'Brien. I am running for Deltona City Commission District 6. So I wanted to introduce myself. First off, thank you so much for Volusia Pride for hosting this event and also inviting us out. Who here is a resident of Deltona? Anybody? All right, we got one. Yep, some of those folks in the back. All right, excellent. So there's enough for you folks here. Yeah, just a little bit about myself. I have been a resident for about 4 years. I moved there in 21. Very proud homeowner, proud father. I have my son here in the back, actually with me. Let's see, I've been on the Planning and Zoning Board now since October, and decided to throw my hat in for City Commission. My background is a little bit more sort of corporate than I think what some of the past commissioners, some of the past experience has parlayed. So that's sort of what I bring to the table. I hold a bachelor's from NYU. I went to Tisch School of the Arts. I was in New York for about 13 years. A little closer, sure. To pay those bills, I worked on Wall Street. I cut my teeth as a corporate recruiter. I was working in finance, online, pharmaceutical, healthcare. That's where I spent my last couple of years, sort of in healthcare. Recently completed my MBA. I have my MBA from LSU. It's with a focus on accounting. Then I'm currently actually pursuing my master's in urban planning from ASU as well. So I'm doing that online program. So really passionate about city life, wanting to make Deltona the best place it possibly could be. I think it's a wonderful place. I'm from up north, as I said. I spent some time in New York City, so love being here. Want to really embrace the culture, embrace the values, and continue to protect it. Some of my big things are really protecting the city from obviously the future stormwater, flooding. We have to worry about that. We have to slow rezoning. Really work to get some of the commercial businesses bringing in more local wages, trades, education, things like that are some of my platform issues. How am I doing on time? Fine. Okay. Great. Let's see what else I can tell you about myself. Does anybody have any questions or anything I can take? No, not at all. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll yield some time back, as a good commissioner sometimes does, and leave it to you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I also have business cards. Feel free to come up, grab a business card if you want to say hello. Thank you so much for the time. Thank you for the surprise. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, as a reminder, we have the questionnaires online on our website, volusiapride.org, and there's also a big red button there if you have any questions. Brandy White is our next candidate for the Deltona City Commission.
Brandy White for Deltona District 1. I will make this short and sweet because we are often used to speaking in 4 minutes or less. That has been capped at now 3 minutes or less at our commission meetings, so I'm pretty well versed in talking quick. A little bit about me, my background: 47-year resident, 27-year homeowner in District 1. I have a vast background from auditing to fraud prevention, contracting, legal contracting, you name it, I probably have a little bit of skill set in there. I think that can bring a lot of value to our current issues in Deltona. I'm actually surprised I didn't see more candidates here because we are in a very contentious season right now. Let's see, my platform, right? Very simple. It's ACT, accountability, communication, transparency. Why I choose those three things? Because when I became involved 10 years ago, that's what we lacked. We had no communication, no transparency, and we still have zero accountability. As a resident, I came to probably, I'm in the 3,000 plus hour mark of different meetings. In the last 10 years, I've spent hundreds of days of research. I became very well known for being the person that brought the receipts. So when I came and I started getting involved in the city, it was over something very simple. We had a trash issue. It didn't affect me personally. I was on Facebook because Facebook became a big thing, and I saw the community in an uproar about the trash not getting picked up. My mind works a little bit different as an INFJ. It connects dots, it sees patterns very quickly, and I'm a very easy at problem solving. So my first thing was like, I can solve this, not a problem. Did my first records request, pulled the contract, pulled the new trash rules, saw what the problem was, attended my very first commission meeting. This is where I hold myself accountable, because after what I experienced at that first commission meeting, I realized had I been more engaged and involved all these years, we wouldn't be where we are now. And so I continued to stay involved. I continued to hold myself responsible, my civic duty to stay engaged and ask the questions. I became a very controversial person because I speak very bluntly and I ask really hard questions that they don't always want to answer or talk about. My big thing has always been for 10 years, let's talk about it. And when I say that, they put their head down because they don't want to talk about it. In fact, when I first got involved, the mayor at the time told me I asked too many questions. That just provoked me to ask more. So fast forward, I got involved in that. I created a Facebook group to kind of communicate with the community over the things that I had been finding. I continued to pull some more public records requests, and I got the very famous retaliation from code enforcement. From there, I gathered my research and my documents and my proof, and I went to the next meeting and said maybe we should reintroduce ourselves. Because what you normally do to residents by retaliating, using code enforcement, and silencing them does not work with me. I am of the type of person who I will get louder and bolder instead. My biggest pet peeve is injustice. I don't care who it's against, dogs, animals, people. Injustice is a huge thing for me. It always has been. It's a big fire for me. I do have a bachelor's in criminal justice. My goal was to be a victim's advocate, so it's no surprise that I have been advocating for my residents from being a resident for the last 10 years. In 2022, the community asked me to run. I looked, because I'm also a numbers person, I looked and I said I have zero chance in hell of winning. It's honest. I went to them, I was very honest. I said I will put my name out so that I believe everybody has an option in a vote, and there was no option at the time. I'll put my name in, and I'm just going to be honest though, I'm not going to collect any type of funds from anybody because, to be honest, I don't stand a chance. But I can talk. I can have the debates. I can ask those hard questions that they didn't want to answer then, and now I'm not cut off at 4 minutes and they have to talk about it now. So I decided to use that opportunity to expose our current pay-to-play system here locally. I was quite successful. And I became quite hated by those whose wheels were starting to lose their grease. Fast forward, 2024, the person that won resigned, and here we were again. I had residents asking me to run, looked at the numbers, and now we're talking presidential election. I said I definitely don't have the numbers to run now. If you haven't noticed, I am not a politician. I am definitely just a representative. There is a difference. And so I don't play party politics, I have no hidden agendas, and I have no special interests. The one thing I did learn from my involvement in all this is I was not researching my candidates the way I should have. In all this time, I thought, I'm doing my job. I'm talking to them, I'm looking at their flyers, you know, I'm making an educated choice. I have learned I was not making an educated choice at all. It's probably just something you've already heard, but I highly recommend you go look at those finance documents. Okay, my big thing back, and I heard somebody say it, follow the money. That was my big thing. I was known for tracking it down and finding where it went, what happened to it, and then providing the information to the residents. On that Facebook group, it grew because I, like I said, would go do the research, do the hard work, and then just come and lay it out for everybody. I would just provide the documents. You make your own decisions. You look at it, you decide what you see for you. I became very well known for that, and so I became very trusted. If I said something, they were like, guarantee if you ask her to prove it, she's going to come with the receipt. And so here I am again. I had a community ask me to run again. Marco here was actually running, and I felt that our community had a choice, and so I had no intention to run this year. I actually opened up 2 businesses, so I definitely did not have any intention on running this year. But then an elderly resident that I had met through Meals on Wheels, because I do Meals on Wheels, called me very upset about something she read in the paper about going on in our city and some retaliation that was occurring. And she threw my own words in my face. And she laid it on me hard. She told me that when I ran before, I mentioned that this would be the year that I had the numbers to at least come close. She threw at me that I am a person that says I do 3 things in 3s, and so I did not do my 3rd try. And then coupled with some other conversations and the fact that Mr. Markle decided to do the hospital authority instead, and now we had no option again. I decided to put my name in. But you can look at my campaign, 100% funded. I do not accept any endorsements, even if they're good endorsements. I always say, like, I'm willing to talk, but that, you know, I'm not looking for an endorsement. The 0 PAC money, 0 special interest money. The biggest thing I want to point out, if you look at especially Deltona's races in the finances, I'm curious why our waste, I'm going to say Waste Pro specifically, is our waste carrier. Why do they care who's representing our voice? Why are they dumping money into these campaigns? They've been doing it for years. And they're not the only ones. If you really look at deep dive and you look at these companies and these entities that are donating, you see they do business with Deltona, and they're going to come before the commission for a vote. That is literally the definition of a bought vote. And we're seeing it a lot. And so I kind of just wanted to throw my name in one last time. This will be my last time. I have no problem with losing because I'm not, you know, I'm not benefiting. You know, I'm getting nothing from this besides maybe the opportunity to actually implement the change we've been talking about for 10 years that we can't seem to get them to listen to us to do. And I make no promises. Anybody who knows government, you're one of 7 voices, and you can't do anything alone. But I can talk about it, and I can talk about it in depth, and I won't get shut off at the 4-minute mark. I'm much better at questions. Any questions?
Any questions?
No? None online?
I have a question.
That's surprising.
Yeah, as a reminder, it is being streamed on Facebook and on YouTube. I have a question: are Deltona City? You go to Deltona City Commissions as a resident, right? Are they fun?
Whew, we got 5 minutes. No. So in the beginning, I would tell you my very first experience when I walked in, very professionally dressed. I wanted to address the trash concern because I did come up with a solution. I was very surprised at how poor the demeanor was towards me as a resident. Like, this was my first time showing. Like, I had nothing to win or lose out of this. I just wanted to solve a problem. And not only was I talked down to and disrespected and spoke to in a very demeaning manner, but I was consistently cut off. And so for me, with my background in criminal justice, red flags. So that's what made me step back and say, I need to look a little deeper into what we're dealing with because this isn't normal. And for that commission meeting, we were packed. All over a trash issue, we were packed. That was my first experience walking in. They're all yelling, let her talk, let her finish. She knows an answer. Why don't you want to hear the answer? And so for me, in my first experience, I'm like, why are they so angry? Like, what is going on? I know now. I know their frustrations now, and I understand it, and I again, can see an ability to fix it. And it's as simple as process and procedure. And it's the one thing you're allowed to do as a commissioner, and that's create process and procedure. So are they fun? Not typically. I've been to meetings where we're there at 1 a.m. still because we're not using the process properly. Government has a designed purpose and we don't use it. First thing I'm going to suggest is that we fix that, obviously, because that's insane to have meetings that go into 1 a.m. and it's all because they're up there arguing with each other about the vote that they're supposed to take. And none of the research was clearly done beforehand. We have now brought that back under control. We don't have midnight meetings anymore, but we also don't have public comment anymore in the meeting. They cut it and they put it in the beginning and then they don't even share it with you guys. So I'm sure you know how I feel about that. That will be something else that I will first thing address. I would like them to be, I don't want to say fun because it is business, right? You're there for business. But I want it to be welcoming. I want it to be engaging. You know, I want it to serve its purpose, and we're not doing that by any means.
Great.
Let's hear it one more time. Maritza Vasquez, yes, is also Deltona City Commission Mayor, and you are on the ballot.
I think.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Well, thank you for having me here today, for inviting me. Thank you, everyone who is here. And, you know, I really appreciate all the candidates that are here because it takes a lot of nerve, it takes a lot of guts to be a candidate, to run for office. Because when you are a candidate, all your business is out in the street, whether you like it or not. So I am the vice mayor of the city of Deltona. 6 years commissioner, 2 years vice mayor. I was re-elected the second term by the same people that elected me the first term. So obviously I must have done a good job. I ran on 4 promises. When I finished my term, my 4 promises were kept. First of all, let me go back. I am a New Yorker. I am from New York. I lived in Manhattan, I lived in Brooklyn, I lived in Queens, and then moved to New Jersey. And so from New Jersey, I retired. I worked in a bank for 25 years. My background is IT. I did not go to college. I couldn't afford it. But I did go to vocational training. I worked with IBM. I am a certified software systems analyst, thanks to IBM, who sent me to school to get trained on it. This goes back to education, right? Vocational training is very important because not all of us can afford college. So I retired and we came to Florida. We came to dinner at a friend's house in Deltona, and I loved it. It reminded me of the country. Exit 108 was the only exit in Deltona out of I-4 in '98. So we bought a half an acre of land, $3,000 back then. And then we came back. My kids are Air Force, military. And after living in Las Vegas for 3 years with them, we came back to Florida, built our house, and I've been a resident of the city of Deltona for 26 years. I thought I came here to retire. After running a youth organization for 15 years, they pushed me to run for office. And I said, no, I don't know anything about politics. I didn't want to. Okay, fine. Ran for office, I won. Landslide, jumped in there. I was not part of Brandy's first experience. I wasn't there then. And I always questioned, why is she so angry? And I talked to her about this. And then when they told me what it was, I was like, wow, that's really ridiculous over a garbage, a complaint. But anyway, so I did the first 4 years, and after that they said, are you going to run again? I said, no, I can't take this. This is ridiculous. When Brandy when she wins and she gets upstairs, she's going to understand. As an elected official, it's very hard to sit up on the dais and get blamed for everything that happens in the city when you know yourself that you are out there fighting for your city and doing what you were elected to do, right? Maybe other commissioners don't see it that way, but I do. Like somebody said here, I don't need the money. I'm retired. I have my pension, I have my Social Security, I have my husband's veteran's pension. So what I'm doing right now is, spending money on things or whatever fun to go out. So I did it for the love of my city. And so it's hard when you're an elected official, when you sit up there and you do all you can, all you want to, and you have to sit up there and get blamed and yelled at for things that are not being done because other elected officials are neglecting their responsibilities, right? And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, but I did that. And having been re-elected the second term by a landslide again tells me that I did the right thing for District 3. And so I said, that's it. 2 years, 2 terms, that's enough for me. I'm retiring. And they were like, well, I started getting calls. You need to run for mayor. You need, not me, not anymore. The week before the closing, I went to pick up my package. The week before the closing, I filled it out. The day before the closing, I turned it in. So, Monday, I was qualified. Woo! Maritza qualified. 15 days later, I was disqualified. I mean, seriously, because I forgot to write Volusia on a field that is right above where it gets notarized that I am running for Deltona mayor in the county of Volusia for the city of Deltona, right above it. Okay, but anyway. Public records request about my check because my account reads Maritza campaign account, but I'm signing Maritza Avila Vasquez. I'm not related to the mayor, by the way. I know he's of Avila too, but I'm a different Avila. And then it was questioned because I chose my name to appear on the ballot, Maritza A. Vasquez. Now, if anybody here knows my campaign signs, I always run as Maritza, which Lisa Lewis said to me one day, that's kind of weird. Nobody runs by their first name. Well, I'm different. I want to be known different. And anybody you ask around here, you'll ask them about Commissioner Avila Vasquez. Who is that? That's Maritza. Oh, yeah, we know Maritza. So everybody knows me by Maritza because that's how I ran. I'm not going to talk about what I did in Deltona because it's done. What I ran for, I did. What I'm running for is to continue finishing what I started. Because I don't want this mayor to get credit of anything that he hasn't done. He's taking credit for restaurants. He's been there 4 years, and everybody here who's into business knows that it takes more than 4 years to plan, bring restaurants into a community, and open them up. So most of those restaurants that we have were already in the works. Already in the works. The only big company that came under, when I was elected, was Amazon. And a lot of people complain about it, but I'm going to tell you, they gave a lot of jobs to our residents because that was part of the contract. What's happening after that? It's no longer a contract because they already passed the 5-year contract, right? My district, and I want to talk about District 3 because that's where I did most of my job. We are the district that has the most sit-down family restaurants in the city of Deltona. And I do not want fast food restaurants in my district. Because we have family-run restaurants right now. And if I bring in fast food chains, what's going to happen? It's going to close down these restaurants, right? We have Mr. Chef, a new Indian restaurant run by the family. We have C's Waffles, a young couple runs that restaurant. So if we bring in Cracker Barrel, what's going to happen? They're out of business, right? We have Bagel King. If we bring another a chain restaurant, what's going to happen? That family's going to go out of business. Every restaurant in District 3 is family run. So we do not need any more food chains in my district. Let them stay in Howland Boulevard where they want the downtown, whatever they want to call it. I don't know how they're going to make downtown on Howland Boulevard. You can't even cross the street from one to another with so much traffic. But I am proud of Deltona Boulevard. Since I moved into Deltona, I joined every organization in Deltona. One being the Martin Luther King, MLK. And every MLK birthday, I have to go up because I have to speak about the first woman who opened up the MLK organization in Deltona, Miss Lucille Whitley. Also the first African-American commissioner in the city of Deltona. And excuse me, I'm proud to say that I sat side by side with her and moved the MLK organization forward, and I'm still a member of it. I'm the executive committee of the NAACP. You know, people say, but you're not black. How do you know? My mom is black. My father happened to be white, brown, blue eyes. You know, so don't tell me what I was or am or not. And I did my background in, I told the people, there's a saying in Puerto Rico, I'm Puerto Rican, I was born in Puerto Rico, but I was raised in New York from the age of 7. And I tell people, you know, I did my background in, there's a saying in Puerto Rico that says, dime quién es tu abuela y te diré de donde tú vienes. Tell me who your grandmother is and I'll tell you where you come from. Yeah. Right? So I did my background and it's funny because I tell my children, you're not Puerto Ricans, you were born in Brooklyn. And they're like, well, where were you? I said, my birth certificate says I was born in Puerto Rico. You were born in Brooklyn. So when I did my DNA, I came up 70% European. So I called my daughter and I said, oh, I'm not Puerto Rican. So now it's a joke on me, you know, but it's a nice breakdown. I love my DNA breakdown. And so coming to Deltona is funny, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful manner. When I went to the real estate office, listen, I was born in Bed-Stuy, and if people know what Brooklyn is, you know what Bed-Stuy is. Bedford-Stuyvesant was the worst neighborhood in Brooklyn. Now you can't afford it. And I went to the realtor and I said, listen, I don't want to go to no ghetto area. She said, what is that? And I said, you know, I don't want to live in just one area where there's Hispanic, one area where it's this one. I want to live in a mixed community. And she said, well, you come to the right place. That's how Deltona is. And so I loved living in Deltona because it's such a mixture of the different nationalities. And into Deltona, I brought the Festival of Nations. We had 13 countries represented last year, including Ukraine, right? Bringing in their cultural dances. I love Deltona. I love to work. I like to move my city. I want to accomplish what I have been able to accomplish in these 8 years. I want to finish my boat ramp. We have a boat ramp that is never in the agenda. It's not even in this year's budget. And I get blamed for that. But, you know, I'm looking forward to working with Brandy because I know she's going to make it. I get attacked and they tell me that I shouldn't vote on taxes because my husband is a Vietnam 100% disabled veteran. And I'm not supposed to vote on taxes because we don't pay real estate taxes. But I'm sorry, that's his benefit. That was given to him for what he fought in Vietnam for 2 years. And because he was in Vietnam for 2 years fighting to give you the right to sit there and tell me that I'm not entitled to those benefits. So I heard through the grapevine that one of the commissioners made a comment about veterans who are not paying their taxes on Facebook. I haven't seen it, but I'm gonna go look for it. I am a veteran activist. I defend veterans to the fullest. My son is an Air Force, retired veteran. They gave me the nickname as the traveling grandma. Wherever they were stationed, that's where I was. My kids were born and raised in different countries, but their home is Deltona. This is where they grew the most time. So I want to be the next mayor, if they swear me in, because according to the supervisor of elections, I'm on. According to the city, you're not. So I don't know where this is taken. I believe, actually, if you watch the Spectrum Channel 13 News, they probably repeat my interview. And I don't think it's right that the city of Deltona should tell the residents who should represent them. I don't think it's right that the city of Deltona should make the decision of who their residents should elect to represent them. I have not done anything against my opponent, not a thing. I sit home, I watch my page, and every resident is doing it for me. I have not asked anybody if they want a yard sign. Every resident has called me, I want one, I want one, I want one, I want one. He's doing a great job by himself. Going out there and just, I don't know. I swear, I promised I wasn't gonna make it a bad election, because thank God the last two were very clean, very smooth going to election. But this one has been ugly. This one has been horrible. Elections shouldn't be like that, because everybody's fighting and running for the same reason. So I think, and hopefully in November, I can get sworn in. If I get elected by the people and for the people.
And they took your website.
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me.
We
have one question from online.
Oh, we have online.
Am I finished? I took up the 5 minutes already?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Primary count if you get 50%.
You're the last one, though.
Oh, good, okay.
All right, the city's going to vote on a fire assessment fee. Given the fact that this year's budget is balanced without the fee.
The city is going to vote on a fire assessment fee. Given the fact that this year's city budget is balanced without the fee, what can the citizens expect from you as a current commissioner and candidate for mayor on this fee?
Okay, so that is an item that's going to be on the agenda, and everyone that knows rules, you cannot discuss or say how you're going to vote on something. But I can tell you that lately, the votes have been 4-2-3. I think that's the same thing that's going to happen Monday. And if you've been watching our meetings, you know where I am between the 4 and the 3.
Great.
Since I'm the last one, thank you for reminding me. So I get a call from a resident, and they said, "You have a website?" I said, "No, I have a Facebook page." They said, "There's a website out there. Do you have look in your phone and type this in, or your laptop." So I typed it in, maritzaformayor.com. Typed in maritzaformayor.com. What? Was it me? It was my opponent. It takes you to his website, where you can volunteer, where you can donate, where you can do anything you want. You'll hear it if you watch Spectrum 13 tonight, you'll hear the interview. And so he took it down the first week that people started complaining, but now it's back up. And it's gotten so bad, it's embarrassing that people have to call me and say, "I would like to give you a donation, but I'm afraid to go into that link because I don't know where my donation is going." So now I have to meet with people face to face so they can give me my donation. I have to go to their houses to bring their yard signs because they think that if they ask for a yard sign, it's going to be asking him for a yard sign. He claimed that I was running under Avila because I was going to take away his votes. Dude, if you would have seen my yard signs in my first elections, I always ran as Maritza. Never used Avila. That's my main name. I never used it. So, yes, keep an eye on Deltona politics. Is very ugly. Very ugly. My application was the only one that was scrutinized. My application was the only one that was questioned with the state. My application is the only one that they pulled 15 days after I was qualified. You think they're scared of me? I don't know, man. I'm just a New Yorker. I'm a good girl. So, but I'm here to serve my community. I love Deltona, and we're going to win this. We're going to win this. And everybody's going to get their 3 minutes back to speak.
Good. Good job. Okay. All right, we did it. We did beat the candidates. Yay! Okay, I want to thank all the candidates that showed up. You might have noticed I'm pretty salty about all the ones that didn't. Back when we started this, people from all different parties came, Republicans. And it was great because there's an opportunity to talk to the community, even if you disagree. I'm not sure exactly what happened. We don't have everybody here. So thanks to you guys. Thanks to the candidates. I think this has been great. We have a candidate questionnaire online for more information, and I'm going to give it back to Heather to talk about whatever she wants to talk about.
Thank you. Can we have a round of applause for Eli, please? Thank you so much. Thank you again to the candidates for being here. So appreciated, especially those of you who've come from far away on the east side of the county. We really appreciate you being here now that we've grown into Volusia Pride. So thanks again. Thanks everyone who's come and submitted questions, and follow along on VolusiaPride.org for all of our additional events and things we have coming up. Thank you so much.